What's going on, everybody? Okay, so how are y'all doing? I know I'm doing relatively well, and yes, Case, I saw you talking about it in the chat. It is my birthday, as a matter of fact. I turned 27 today, which is a funny one. For those of you who aren't yet 27, at Kusai, it always has to open with at least a little bit of a speech, right? But so, I feel like, for those of you who aren't, 25 is your last, like, wow, I am getting older. Like, here we go. Rent a car without penalty. Then you turn 26. And when you turn 26, you're like, oh no, I'm getting older. But 27's better than that. You know what? Heck yeah. Like 27 is the moment. Exactly, Jordan, right? Like 27 for me is the moment where I went, you know what? 27, still plenty young. Thank you guys. Thank you. Happy birthday to all of you too. Like it's everybody's birthday today because what we got, like, could I have gotten a better gift from the Chicago Bears than Justin Fields playing well? Like I can't wait to go through this now. Yeah, exactly. Spirit Eagles. Like, it's a weird one. I'm a cubic number now, right? Like, I keep thinking like 27 equals 3 cubed because I'm a big nerd. Like I am a massive nerd. And so no, John, we're not complaining. It's just funny when you have no concept of what 40 feels like. You're just sitting there like, oh my gosh, like I'm older than I think I thought I was. Hot dang it, Kusai. There you go. I don't even know what we would call that because I don't actually, like, I know my mom made the joke that she's, she's nearing a cubic number herself, if you think of her, like, if you think about it the other way. But let's go through it. So, like, here's the plan. Turn 27. My wife's like, you've been working all day. And she's right. So, here's the deal, right? We are going to go a nice, crisp 3 hours. That's what I'm thinking. We're going to go 2 hours on the offense. We're going to go probably about an hour on the defense. The defense, it's kind of hard to watch, but the offense makes it worth it. Like, I personally would tell you, so to get started on the actual football talk, now that we've discussed everything else, the weird part about this game, watching it live, was that we had just come off of this terrible Buccaneers game where I'm sure you guys all remember me basically saying, like, we got to see a Justin Fields breakout game soon. Like, we have to eventually see that breakout game, or else we're probably talking ourselves into something that I believe in. The talent's there, but kind of like, to use somebody who can be a bit of a hot button, kind of like Mitch Trubisky, there was a point where it dawned on, I think, everybody that he was talented, but that it might not work out. And so we needed to see a little, like, something different, right? Whether it was incredible accuracy, whether it was command, whether it was, honestly, this is going to sound so silly. At least I think it'll sound silly, because even in analyzing football, yes, sometimes it can come down from total semantics, but let me see. Ooh, you know what, Mr. Myrtle? You're going to give me $5? We're just going to go all the way there. Like, we're going to go 100, or let's just go 100% of the way there. We can go all the way to the 4th and 1, because why not start there, and then we'll get to it again. I'll tell you what, the weird part about these streams 100% of the time is that, for the most part, we get I would say we get the majority of our audience that shows up ready to roll at, like, an hour. Like, an hour into the stream, that's where everything connects. So, yeah, let's talk about stuff at the start. We'll just repeat ourselves when we get there. Like, this is awesome. So, it's 4th and 1, as everybody remembers. But so, let me see. No, Elon, that's not the case. You're just a mod. So we got to take the donations and go from there. So here's the play, right? Justin Fields goes crazy on 4th and 1. And we've got a question in the chat that was, what's the play call? And You're going to laugh when you hear it. I mean, I think it's fairly evident when you take a look at it, but I'll tell you right now, it's not a running play. Like, that's for sure. Well, here's the whole play. Elon, you're great. You know what? I've definitely got to take your requests a little more seriously. You do enough. So here is, somebody mentioned Jason Peters, absolutely tattooing Fred Warner right there. That's a really solid block. But the key at this stage that I want to walk through is, oh, John, Nagy totally called the play. So as a matter of fact, it's just a play action rollout. Like, I'm not 100% certain on what the routes even are. I haven't looked yet, but the key is it's not a run play. It's a rollout, and it's a rollout that they completely crash down on. So Fields signals that check with me, receivers motion over, and it is supposed to be Kmet there. I think that's Kmet, and another tight end kicking out that, honestly, if this guy hadn't been there, is wide open for probably a touchdown. But so, no, Envy Dice, it's not crack toss. That would have been hilarious. And yeah, Jordan, it does look like Sale. Now that you mention it, that's the concept. But so, Fields sees the man in his face and just has to make a play, because the instant that he turns around and looks downfield, he's got a guy to beat. So he beats him, and at this point, the ball is all the way down because he's got to protect it. Obviously, you can't get that thing punched out by this guy right here. So he makes a play against a second one right here, or just cutting inside. And at this point, it's all improvisation. I mean, look at the offensive line. We saw him the other way around. Like, they're just kind of like, well, I don't do anything on this play. Wait a minute. He's still. Oh gosh. Hey, hang on, guys. Guys, go. Guys, move. Do something. And so, credit to Mooney, who is probably Mooney, and I think that's Jesse James. But these two are heads up enough to immediately go, okay, hang on. We got to go do something about this. So Mooney gets in the way there, and we've talked about it before. All you've got to do as a downfield blocker is just create a lane. Like, make the defender pick a direction, one way or another. And Mooney helps push the guy outside, so Fields cuts up on the end, or cuts up underneath. I think it's James that slows down the blocker there to create a lane for Fields, and he's in the end zone. It's an outstanding play by Fields. I don't think anybody's going to question that, but credit to the rest of them. They showed up and blocked as they should, or like when they saw the play come together, and that matters. No, I mean, to your point, Akusai, he's definitely not, like, Mooney's definitely not running a route, like a real route, because with the normal rollout action being to roll away, as you can see here, Mooney's pattern doesn't matter. It's 4th and 1, for crying out loud. But it's one of those where it's pretty shocking in this case that he's able to find this. Like, Blake, you mentioned his open field vision is a thing of beauty. I mean, it's even wilder to me than calling it open field. Like, this is like natural instinct. Like, this is bananas to me that he's able to break that, keep his feet, cut inside, and just figure it out. It's not mind-blowing, because you've seen running backs do it before, right? Which, don't take that way. Like, this is not Justin Fields as a running back conversation. It's more to say that Fields figured it out. And at the end of the day, what you're going to hear me say a lot is where I was most impressed by Fields in this game was his ability to play fast. I don't know about what you guys thought, but even including the preseason, I don't think we really saw Justin Fields hit that 4.4 speed in pretty much any of his football games to this point. But in this one, he was playing fast, whether it was making a quick read and go, or whether it was a designed run or a play like this. We saw Fields hit the burner like hard. I thought personally that Fields' biggest asset in this game was his ability to be pedal to the metal. Like, it was exactly like he knew when to throw, he knew when to go, and credit to him, because that's how a rookie comes through and has that's how a rookie creates a good game. And in this case, he did. Like, let me see the Miami, which Miami game, Hassan? Are you thinking college? Because I don't think the Bears have played Miami unless you're thinking about somebody else. But yeah, John, I would tell you, like, Akusai, that's what's so funny about it, right? He had the fastest speed on some of his runs, but honestly, I would tell you in this game specifically, I thought he was so good. I gotcha, son. There you go. But so I would tell you personally that I thought in this game, and you're right, maybe it's just 5 weeks now of watching him, I would say trot, because I don't think he's been sprinting in this case, but in this game specifically, he would hit the burners and just space everybody. I mean, let me pull up a play that I think perfectly shows exactly what I'm talking about. Ooh, let me look through and find it. Give me just a second. Because normally we go chronologically, and we probably will. But, ooh, there it is. I think it's 34-12. Let me see here. Yes. This is exactly the one I'm thinking about. So, the Bears call... First of all, let's just take in this throw. Because this was just gold. Fields rolls out to his left. Hits it downfield. This is beautiful. Yeah. Exactly, Case. Nice. But, yeah, Fields showed off some arm accuracy. We always knew he had the arm accuracy. That, honestly, I wouldn't say it wasn't strange, but it's more that some of the throws he made were really nice. But it was the decisiveness that I think really made the difference in this game. Where, let me see, is this the play that I want it to be? Because it might not be. No. We're getting there. There it is. This is the one. Okay, so... You may recognize this play from all the way back in 2018, believe it or not. I mean, the wild thing about this is that the Bears run, so they're going to have Cole Kmet just stem up the side, or like, stem up the numbers and come back in. But really, this is a call that has been called for Tariq Cohen about a bazillion times. It was like the staple of the Bears 2018 and 2019 offense. It's the halfback option. So the gist is, and remember that Cole's running this route because I'm going to delete it. But so the gist is that Khalil Herbert is going to come out of the backfield and he can do 3 different things, right? He can, you know what? You might. Some people do memorize plays from 2018, but he can dart out right here. He can dart up on more of an angle route, or he can dart in, all depending on how this linebacker right here circling him plays Herbert. And so the whole point, as you're going to see with Kmet's big route right here, is just to create space so that the running back can take whatever the linebacker gives him. It's a short gain on 1st and 10, like that can become more if the running back does particularly well. But Fields, intriguingly enough, feels like Herbert, or I don't think he thinks Herbert took too long. Like, I actually just think he did this off of instinct, but instead of letting Herbert's option develop, because I do think that Herbert's angle route right here, it's not the world's greatest angle route, but it is open if Fields wanted to feed him the ball. But he sees that Nick Bosa came at Larry Borum and kicked inside on him and just feels the open running lane and takes it, just bounces right out, cooks him off the side of the edge, and races up the field for a gain of about 18 yards over under. This is a weird one, if only because to me this showed the weapon that I think Fields has got to wield, where he ends up. Akusa, are you thinking about Kmet right here, 40 or like at the 45? Because you're right, Kmet is open. Like, the interesting part about this play, though, is that while both of these receivers are conventionally open, Fields also makes a perfectly sane and rational play, because once Bosa commits inside, there's no way he's going to stop him from getting the edge and just beating or like making his way down the field. Oh, and yes, tumultuous. So you're mentioning Robinson, which I totally hear. You mean right here then, Robinson. Yes. So the key on this option route is that it's so on an island that it ends up being you choose a side at the start of the play. Basically, let's go all the way back. So we've talked about pick a side reads before, but the complicated part about them is just sort of finding them. At the beginning of the play, basically, Fields is going to pick which combination he wants to work. Does he want to use the option route right here? Like, what is it? 1, 2, 3. That looks like that. Or does he want to use Robinson? Looks like he's running a dig. Mooney looked like he was running a post to make space for it. And I bet they kick him in the flat, though I've not actually watched him. Or I've not watched this play, so I'm totally guessing. Fields has to pick a side, right? Based on the defense, which does he want to work? Because maybe you could work back to the other side if you're, playing Madden or a genius, but obviously guys don't have the eyes in the back of their head, so they get to pick one. And so, in this case, Fields decides that he's going to work this angle route. They must have seen something that they liked because they get the one-on-one they're thinking of. Is that Jakeem Grant? That's neat. I mean, I certainly think that he's a weapon. But so, yep, it's in the flat, as usual. But so, that means that everything going on here, don't think of it as a decoy, but think of it as it doesn't matter. Like, it's something that Fields isn't attempting to watch, and that's perfectly fine because that's well within the way that these plays are designed. That is considered noise. All that matters is what's going on here, and the play that Fields ultimately makes is a good one. I mean, it's not just about the gain. Honestly, it's about the fact that Fields has recognized, in my opinion, that let me see. What are you thinking, Elon? Talk through it. What are you thinking about good play? He should watch them, but I understand why not. But so, yeah, in case is hitting the nail on the head on where the pre-snap read comes from. Fields basically takes a look and sees, okay, so we've got 4 defenders, including Warner, and we've got 2 defenders over here dealing with one of them that we could probably carry out. But so, my key that I think is intriguing is that, and yeah, exactly, Bob, Fields' natural ability to make a play here has repercussions. I mean, every play that you put on tape in this setting where Bosa then works inside and you take him outside for the gain of 17 forces the defense to play you a little bit differently. They obviously have to respect this running threat going forward. And the 49ers didn't do a good job of that. We don't have to pretend that the 49ers were phenomenal in terms of keeping Fields' running game down because he picked up 100 yards on him. But I will tell you that if there was nothing else to be impressed with the way that Justin Fields carried himself in this game, it's that his decision-making was on time or a tick late. It wasn't 4 ticks late. It wasn't very late. Let's do our usual, right? Let's go from the top. Let's talk through some highlights. We'll go through highlights, lowlights. You'll see a lot of Larry Borum. I'm going to tell you right now, because I feel like there are a lot of people who are over the moon about the way Larry played. I thought in pass pro, Larry Borum looked way better than a 5th-round pick should. I think he's got a lot to work on in his run game. When you watch the way that the run game operates, I would tell you that Borum needs to fix his footwork. I don't think he shuffles particularly well as more of a strider, and I don't think that helps him with his power. He missed a lot of backside blocks, but let's go through the film and you could see it. But either way, Borum definitely has a platform to develop off of, which is the bright side. I mean, come on, this is a 5th-round pick's first game we're talking about, but I have to start there because sometimes Bears Twitter, at least in my personal perspective, exactly tumultuous, they'll get an inch and take a yard. They'll get, hey, Kindle Vildor looks like he might belong in the NFL, and give, what is it? Right, exactly. Thank you so much, D-Woke, for subscribing. Great having you along. But so, I mean, to your point, and everybody's kind of getting the joke here, there are so many people that'll go, hey, Borum looked like he was solid, he's gonna be an all-pro, and it's let's hang on a second, but let's take it from the top and go on through. So the Bears were all over the place when Jordan, I know exactly what you mean. But so anyways, let's see. Yeah, so the Bears were extraordinarily hit and miss in the run game. I mean, like plays just like this one were basically all over the place, where in this case you're going to see, memory serves, it's Daniels, but these two just get smoked by number 95. They had some real problems. No, it's Daniels and Mustafa in this case. Like they just get weaved right on inside. Mustafa doesn't pick up the backside, or like the back end of the block, which would have been tough for Mustafa. You want Daniels to get a piece of this guy, and immediately 91 just bores right on through and blows the play up for a gain of none or a loss of just a little bit. But so, that's the thing, Jordan, because what you're saying that I think matters is, and granted, like, you're looking at somebody who thought, because this was a real hot one back in the day. I never thought Charles Leno was near as bad as a lot of people wanted to make him out to be. But so the key there is, when it comes to your left tackle, I like run blocking. I think you need a pass blocker. And at least in my perspective, I feel like if you did shift Borum over to left tackle, especially if you gave him an off season, you'd have a solid pass blocker that might not be greatest in the run game, but honestly, you can live with that out of the 5th round, at least for a little bit. But so anyways, this was probably, I mean, this is up there with Fields' worst plays. Hilariously enough, it's his first one that I would say, where I thought he got a little overwhelmed by the read. Like, so what they do, or what the Bears do, is obviously a play action rollout. And the key here is they've got Allen Robinson running the equivalent of a corner route. They've got Kmet running an over, and Mooney basically, I can't remember if he trails off the line of scrimmage, but he hooks on down. And the key, yeah, no kidding. Everybody talking about Olin. Yeah, he did get heated. But so the key is that I think Fields gets hung up on the corner right here. He's got to throw to Mooney, because the way that you generally draw this play up, you're trying to catch this guy in conflict right here, right? But so, like, at this point, I would tell you the throw is either to Mooney, or you've got to be in rhythm right now to Cole Kmet, because as you're going to see, Fields' eyes move from, I think that's Robinson, to Kmet right here, and they just get there a little late, because if the ball's on the way, you can fit this in. Like, you've got to get it in between these defenders, but this defender isn't moving at all. And so with him not moving, by the time Fields checks right here to Cole Kmet, you're too late, and you can't throw there. And you can't throw it to Mooney either, because the defensive back is attacking down, and you can't really fit it to A-Rob because there's not enough room to run along the sidelines, and the corner will come over the top. At this point, you just missed your window. And that's exactly why Fields ultimately just tucks the ball and takes what he can, which is a gain of, about 4, so not too bad. Like, already Fields is using his legs as a bit of a weapon, but, I would look at this and let me see, Elon. In Kmet's case, like, why can't he throw to Kmet in this case, or in that situation? It's because Kmet was already a little bit too close to the defender. Like, if the ball's on the way right here, you could probably fit it to right there so that the defender doesn't break on it, and maybe Kmet can pull it in and fall. The trouble is that if he, even throwing it right now is a tad late, you want to throw it where right as Kmet is breaching the linebacker, so that you end up with the space to not involve that cornerback, who he's going to be just a smidge tardy getting to the ball, because obviously he's focused on Darnell Mooney. But if you wait too long, then Kmet's running would take him right into the path of the defensive back, who's going to pick that off. And I don't know if it'll take you to the house, but at least it's, yeah. In this case, I thought it was funny watching the tape, because obviously I thought Fields played really well. I mean, we started there, right? But it was funny seeing that in this setup, Fields was late on almost all fronts on his first play of the game, and he bounced back from that. Like, I would tell you, perfect world, like, the trouble is, we already talked about that halfback option, right? That was not a perfect world play. Like, the perfect world there is Fields either waits for Cole Kmet for the bigger gain, or just throws on time to the running back. Instead, he chose option not on the page and picked up 17 yards. So textbook would probably be Fields catches this guy drifting, releases right now, throws to Mooney. Mooney has a shot at breaking a tackle, and if not, he gains 3 yards. You move on from there. But Fields doesn't do that. And he also doesn't take the potentially risky option for Cole Kmet. So there's a lot of things that you could do in a perfect world. I just wanted to address that first things first. But Fields kind of gets caught, washed over, goes down, sets up, what is it, like 2nd and 5, more or less. But so, not a bad play. Like, Fields, in my opinion, did a pretty good job of making a lot of negative plays fine, but it's not a positive play either. Thankfully, you get 3 downs. Like, that's the key here, and Fields was unbelievably good on 3rd down in this game. Here, you're going to see him make a very quick read. I'm pretty sure that they just scouted the fact that the 49ers really love playing either cover 3 with a rotation like this, or they'll play quarters in general. So they like dropping their corners a lot. And with that, the Bears are just going to try the world's most basic out route curl. Like, you've seen it before. This is like the Nagy offense. But even so, it's a throw under pressure, 10 to 14 yards, bang. And you got to make it on time. Fields did. You take a look at the footwork Justin Fields showed. Like, this is the fun one, in my opinion, where you see him hit the back of his drop. He stutters once, so it's not picture perfect, but he maintains a strong base all the way from the back of his drop. That's exactly what you're looking for. Like, nice, wide, strong base pointed at the target. Releases, obviously, it's nice on time, got good zip to it. Mooney's able to catch it, come all the way down, and then turn for just a little bit more. Like, and he is having to throw through Daniels, but hey, that's what comes with the territory at this point. Like, not only are we talking about the Bears' offensive line, that, they're not the grandest, but also NFL is about being uncomfortable, and it's about dealing with it. So making a throw exactly like this, which we've talked about, have often drifted high when that front plant leg is a little closer than you would expect it to, to Fields' front foot. He just lets her loose, bang, which is neat. But so, yeah, we got Bob Money in? Is that what I'm seeing? But so, yeah, no, Fields definitely had a really nice day, and I feel like the pass rush problems certainly helped. Like, for the 49ers' inability to generate pressure gave Fields his best day so far. I thank you for that. We needed it, like us Bears fans. By the way, this was a gorgeously blocked play. Like, we have done a lot of dogging on Sam Mustipher. Why was he the starting center? It's because this is what he did on his good plays in 2020, right? You're going to see him you're going to see him jump out and block 45 really, really nice and easily. And from there, like, gives a little bit of help to Cody Whitehair right there, takes on 45, comes right on through. We haven't seen a lot of Mustipher's good plays. I had to talk about this one when I saw it. Thanks so much, Adrian. Thanks for the well wishes. And from there, Mooney and Kmet do the rest. Now, if there's one thing that the 49ers kind of picked up on, it is, Brandon. But so, if there's one thing the 49ers kind of picked up on, it's the fact that when you get Kmet and Mooney on one side of the field, the Bears are probably running there. Like, I would love to see the Bears get a little more creative with these two, because Kmet specifically and Mooney specifically are clearly the only 2 Bears players they really trust to rush. And so this has been awesome. Like, I hear what you mean, new poster. I was skeptical of my own Herbert take there for a little bit, but he has been really popping off. I mean, it's just fun to watch him play football. And so I think they take a hold here. Yeah, this one's pretty quick, all things told. But so, oh man, that one was so bad. I mean, Jordan, there's a lot of Mustipher not being very good in this game. Like, there really is. And there's a lot of the Bears asking Mustipher to do some ridiculous stuff. But one thing that I think is key, because it's made things hard for the Bears, like, for the 85 of you in here, I try to consider myself as reasonable as possible. I'm going to make plenty of mistakes. But the key, this is Daniels with a hold, specifically Elon, so you can watch 68. But so, the key here is Fields is a rookie, and I want to see the Bears support him fairly well. But one thing that always does seem to happen is that the Bears and Justin Fields' proper drives, he gets tagged for that right there, tend to get derailed by a penalty here or there that they have to overcome, and good teams are able to do that. But the Bears aren't a good team. So that's been trouble for them. But here they're able to get a nice throw to the sidelines. It's nothing complicated. I'll show you the read real fast. I mean, like it's basically just, it's barely even a pick route. Like A-Rob's going to run a curl. Stop me if you've heard it before. But so, yeah, no kidding, right, Akusai? And Mooney's going to run an out route with a clear out up the sidelines. All it really is picking on this lineman or linebacker. At this stage, what it feels like the Bears have done is that they've boiled down different pieces. Thank you so much, Brandon. That's unbelievably kind of you. The Bears have boiled down a lot of Justin Fields reads to take a look at this conflict defender. If he sticks with A-Rob, throw it to Mooney. If he goes with Mooney, throw it to A-Rob. And so he takes one look here. He hits what he gets what he wants. Linebacker sticks with A-Rob. They ultimately bracket him. And so quick out goes shoom. There it is. And yeah, Jason, it's a lot of stick and curls. That's the Bears offense. Stick and curls. If you don't like stick and you don't like curls, you probably don't like being last in the league in offensive average. So there you go. But so at this point, like, there's nothing particularly nutty on this first drive other than you can see that Justin Fields is making decisions relatively quickly. And I hated some of their play calls. Like, you've heard me defend a lot of play calling. I hate this kind of stuff where it's 2nd and 12 after a holding call. And that's why we're going to have Herbert come out and block for Damian Williams, while I think it's Mustafa that they ask to get all the way over to Warner. There's something like that. I mean, for crying out loud, I find myself asking, okay, so you're the Niners defense, right? You see Williams and Herbert in the backfield. What are they doing? Like, they don't get in this formation often, so they're probably doing something weird. And they do in this case. It's a shotgun handoff that has, it's not really like a draw, but it kind of is. Like, you can clearly see the linemen are bending backwards like it's a draw, but Mustafa leaks out so fast that every single linebacker isn't fooled. Like, none of them at this point are stepping backwards thinking, oh man, this is a pass play. Because why would you have your center just launch off the line of scrimmage if it was? So the linebackers stay relatively put. They attack downfield. Mustafa has no shot to get where he's going. Now it's Herbert versus two guys. And oh wow, would you believe it? No, there's no draw lane. And now it's just third and 13. If memory serves. Like, these are the kinds of play calls that drive me insane, because not only is it a run on 2nd and 12, but it's a gimmick run at that. And the Bears, let's just say that a lot of even their good calls, like even their standard runs, just basic outside zone right and basic outside zone left, they had real trouble with. But it is shockingly, or it was really, really tough to me to watch this kind of stuff. But, I mean, Hogslop, I don't know if he phoned it in. Maybe it was Tabor, but that was, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a good play for the situation. Maybe you do it on first down. What is this? Grant mentioned potentially cutting it back, so let's, dadgummit, I took it too far. All right, so is it... It's got to be this one, because now I'm curious. Like, did he take it too far? Did he run it over? But let's see here. Hands it off. So as soon as Whitehair loses this, I feel like maybe he could put his foot in the ground and get upfield. I mean, maybe. But yeah, this was definitely in the realm of it's a little too trick play to end up with this poor result. But that's just my 2 cents. Whitehair definitely struggled throughout this game. Spoiler alert. But so then it is 3rd down. And somebody mentioned this. I think it was Elon. So then it's 3rd down, and they run a slip screen, and they get the yards. Oh my gosh, right? Bang! Oh, there's a flag. Oh no. Well, what's the flag? right? And so suddenly you end up realizing that they tagged the Bears for ineligible man downfield because James Daniels got about 3 yards further than he should have. Now, here's where I, honest to goodness, have no idea what to say. Because normally, on an ineligible man downfield penalty, you pin it on none other than, hang on, let me get a good view of it. Normally, ineligible downfield is his fault, the quarterback. Like, normally ineligible man downfield means that the quarterback, or the quarterback held onto the ball too long, or he should have gotten the ball out. I mean, it's mostly just about holding the ball too long. Josh T, just because, thank you so much for the donation. I'll answer your question immediately. If I was the Bears GM, an ideal wide receiver one to pay with Fields, he's on my mind recently. I'll tell you what, like, if I got to choose a wide receiver and I could Maddenize them where I could get their best whenever I wanted to, somebody like Odell Beckham Jr. makes a little too much sense. And I don't mean that to just grind it. And Brandon, it's hilarious that you sent that as I said it, but a receiver like him makes so much sense. Like a Chris Olave, or it could be Odell. It could be, I'm trying to think of others that fit that same technical route running prowess. I mean, DK Metcalf is kind of anybody's wide receiver one, but the real key here is I want somebody that's able to run routes, be wherever you want them to be. Keenan Allen is a perfect example. Like Christian Kirk makes a lot of sense. Those sorts of receivers, I think, basically anybody that can generate separation, which you might be like, duh. Yeah. Duh. Like, Fields is not a go route. I would not tell you Fields is somebody that's restricted to go routes. He's not restricted to any specific route in the playbook. Antonio Brown would have made a lot of sense. Like, any route that you can think of that gets somebody open, especially if they get them open 10 to 15 yards downfield, Fields will work really well with them. And somebody like Odell Beckham Jr., or think of a better Anthony Miller, is going to be basically always open. T.Y. Hilton in his day made a lot of sense in that way. That's the kind of receiver that I would want to pair with Fields, and it's where the fact that Odell is on the market has me sort of giggling like, oh, okay. But you know how it is. But so, yeah, it really kind of could have been, couldn't it have? But so anyways, let's take a look at this. This drives me nuts because if you watch the play, they're running a slip screen. Like, here's the bit, just in case you don't know how slip screens work, because you've probably seen them in Madden, but here's the key. It is an intentional, like, the running back sells that they're blocking, and then they slip out, and they catch the ball about here. Whitehair plays it perfectly. Daniels, I think, makes the mistake. Like, when you watch this play, you're going to see Whitehair holds up, watch him hesitate as Herbert gets into position. Whitehair hesitates, Daniels blocks, and immediately releases. So Whitehair's held back. Remember, the line of scrimmage is about right there-ish, as Herbert sells his block and gets into position right there. Now the throw should come out. It's on time. Like, to throw it any later would get you sacked. To throw it any earlier wouldn't give the running back the whole throw. And like we've seen, running backs, and Herbert is unfortunately in this group, are not the best at catching the ball normally. So you want to give your running back as much time as is possible to catch the football. Thank you so much, IMT1. Do I think a tall receiver on one side and a speed receiver on the other makes sense? I would tell you that receivers are like chess pieces. Like, you just move them around wherever you want to. And so I don't love when you only have speed receivers, because I think things can get kind of tough in the end zone. But I think the real secret, and this isn't going to shock you, is to find the Jamar Chases, the Deebo Samuels, the CeeDee Lambs, the guys with size that are fast. I mean, I giggle because it's like, the answer's both, right? It's like, you don't only want small people and you don't only want big people. What is it? Javon Wims plus Damiere Byrd is not dangerous, right? So when you get to your exact point of Kusai, DK Metcalf on one side and Jamar Chase, or you get DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Lockett's a perfect one, where if you put those two near each other, dangerous, really dangerous. That's why Seattle's been as good as they are. But you get the feeling. Anyways, back to this. Daniels is way downfield as Herbert's catching the football, and Whitehair's right in position. Now, would Herbert have gotten the 15 yards had Daniels been a little further back? Good question. Probably, though. Like, this one's weird to me because from a coaching standpoint, it's a slip screen. I know how these work, and it blows my mind that they end up in the position to where they're an eligible man downfield here. Like, there are some others that I'm curious as to whether or not I'm curious as to whether or not they're on Fields, but this one specifically, he released it about when I figured he would, and ends up taking a penalty for it, which isn't acceptable. So that's not one, but two fouls the Bears committed on this first drive. So they just dump it off to Jesse James right there. Actually, it's Jesse. And so he catches it. Neato. They go on to kick field goal. Like, it still feels like the Bears offense is getting held back by, for lack of a better word, dumb stuff. Like, I could be more eloquent, I could be more diplomatic about it, but I feel like the Bears keep finding a way, whether it is calling a run on second down or something else, or a penalty, you get the idea, or snapping the ball into the turf to waste downs that they just can't keep wasting because Fields isn't perfect. Like, the key here is it's not, well, Fields just isn't good enough to save them. The real key is that nobody's that good, and Fields is making just enough mistakes that he needs a down or two downs to make a play at this, or at least against the Niners he did. And so, let's see. Case, we don't need to hear it. That is tragic, that whole thing that's happened. But so, let's see. Going back to this. So this one was funny to watch when I saw it again, because I remember watching the game thinking, goodness gracious, Fields, make the play. And maybe he does. Like, with perfect pocket poise, I think that there's a shot that maybe he doesn't leave his initial spot and is able to hit Kmet basically right now. But as it is, he waits. Oh, I highlighted the wrong tight end. Dadgummit. But so Kmet's over here, and he comes over. Kmet ran a really solid route there. Like, it's not the grandest route in the world, and it never will be with Cole Kmet. But I will tell you that I think Kmet has gotten better about at least having a snap. Like, envision it as putting kinks in his route. Instead of this being totally round, which it has been plenty of times, you end up with Cole Kmet, just to watch it right here. You're going to see him stride forward, get physical, and snap it off right there. That's open. That's plenty of open, as a matter of fact. Like, you could make this throw 100%, get him right there, and Cole Kmet probably gets tackled immediately, but at least he's open. In this case, though, it really looks as if Fields takes a look at the pocket and sees ghosts of the Buccaneers, sees ghosts of the other teams that have just beat the tar out of him. And maybe there's because what happens is, so Jesse James, I need to go back so that you can see it again. But so the funny thing here is that Jesse James gives 94 such a vicious chip that he basically bowls him straight into Daniels at this stage. He just goes bang right there. And so 94 ends up stumbling into Daniels and Mustafa and taking both of them out, leaving a guy right in front of him as that Fields sees that he's got to get the ball out on. And I'm seeing comments that he's reading the curl first. Let's take a look here, because now you got me curious. He might be. Excuse me there. I always like to go into the end zone cam to watch his eyes at this point. Yeah, it was a vicious chip. So he takes a look downfield. I'm really not 100% sure. He might be. Like, taking a look at the curl and just doesn't like it. I would get it. He'd have to throw that in basically perfect timing. But I really get the impression that his lineman suddenly caving in on him, like, throws him off. That he's reading it looked to me like maybe he was reading the backer or so on and so forth. But, and who knows, maybe it is as simple, Scott, as Nagy's offense is always, like, curl first. But either way, like, Fields front-loaded a whole bunch of the plays that I would potentially ding him for. And I'm trying to be, as you can probably tell, as fine-toothed to comb as possible. Again, would perfect pocket presence not move? Maybe. Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that, him watching the in right there. But he immediately sees the guy coming after him and moves to be safe and ends up just, I don't want to say tardy. Like, 49ers got the pressure that they needed. So maybe you just chalk this one up to, the defense gets paid too. But either way, that was one of those that I noted of just like, that was all right, I guess. And so then they come out. It's just like, I don't understand why it is that the Bears continually call these runs on 2nd and 10. They did this almost every down. Like, to talk about it, oh gosh, who is this? It is IMT1. Yeah, credit to Fields. His pocket presence was better in that he didn't get sacked, but there's a balance to learn. The trouble here is the Bears did this basically all game, where you're going to see in this case, the Bears are running outside zone to the right. It looks like this. Right. And as much as I've gone back in the past, you can watch any of my streams, and I am usually, no, Scott, we're building up to it. And I'm usually dogging on Sam Mustipher because Sam Mustipher usually makes a poor play or two. But in this case, like throughout this game, I can't tell if it was just the 49ers game plan lining up in unusual gaps. But man, oh man, this right here for a center, this is like an all-pro block that they're asking Sam Mustipher to make. Like, I think, and tell me if you guys think I'm nuts, Jason Kelce is going to struggle to slide all the way over and seal this defensive tackle inside on this one. Like, this is wild to me. And surprise, surprise, he does not get there. Even with double team help, he's going to, like, roll all the way over. He gets even with him, which isn't even as bad as Mustipher has been, but it blows the play up pretty good because nobody blocks 42, who rolls right through and makes a play. Like, you can see it again right here. Actually, it's not 42. It's Warner, 54. Like, it's one of those where Mustipher feels like, or Whitehair feels like he's got to help out Mustipher, but he doesn't get up there. This is wild to me, at least when I watch it, where I'm like, what in goodness' name did they expect? So Whitehair never gets to Warner. Warner blows the play up. Like, this is the story, because they did, in my opinion, better running the ball in the first half, certainly than they did in the second half. But they were fine. But whatever cracks they had started to just fall apart. So now it's 3rd and 1, and 2 weeks ago, we talked about how much I hate the offsides rule. This is a perfect example of me calling the same spade a spade, because James Daniels picks up an offsides on this play that I think is just gross. I hate this. This is a defensive false start, 100%. Like, 91 commits dramatically less of an infraction than the Packers did just a little while ago. Like, they call it because Daniels moves. That's part of the offsides rule, in case you didn't know, is that you can go forward and then you can come back if the offensive line doesn't move. If they move because you moved, you have influenced a false start, and it is therefore offsides. And Case, that's exactly why you see Daniels move, is because the way that you lock in that offsides is that when you see the defender across from you flinch, you leap up. Like, this one they did call on the defense, Case. It's more to say that I don't love that this sort of play is offsides. Personal opinion. I mean, they didn't call it against the Packers because they didn't flinch, but on this one, just a small jump forward and coming back ends up offsides, whereas the Packers got a lot further. But that's just my 2 cents at this point. But so, and yeah, Jason, I mean, you're going to see, especially on passing plays, I thought Borum certainly looked like he's got the frame you're looking for. He needs practice like in terms of just getting his feet right overall. But credit to Daniels for, I guess, making a play, though I do wish that rule was standardized to either both sides in the trenches can't move or something better than that, in just my 2 cents. Here, Fields takes a look at A-Rob, finds Mooney over the middle. I mean, it's pretty standard. Nothing unusual about this one, right? Where he's just going to look here first, number one. Honest to goodness, it's not Allen Robinson that's the reason the target share is his target share is so low. Most of it's the defenses are just paying extra attention to him. Why wouldn't you bracket A-Rob against his number one, or with a rookie quarterback? Why wouldn't you bracket the number one receiver? And that's what they did a lot. So yeah, they run all curls because this is the Nagy offense. But Fields takes a look towards A-Rob, sees he's covered, immediately just hits the back of his drop, fires it to Mooney. This is where he's getting better. Again, this is not a put him in Canton play, but these are the kinds of plays that that create the opportunities that we know let Fields do exactly what he did. Hello, Bob. How are you doing? But so you can take a look at Borum here. It's Peters that gets beat more than anybody. Borum does a decent job hand fighting. I feel like it's all funny. It's always kind of funny watching tackles like on a snap to snap basis because you end up with a whole lot of plays just like that where it's like, I don't feel like anybody really won the snap, but yeah, there you go. And yeah, exactly. Brandon, nice throw in rhythm. Right on time, too, by the way. If you take a look at this one, he takes a look, takes one extra step back, immediately loads. At this point, he's loading as he's turning around, so I'd take it. Like, fires, there you go. So, Bob, I wouldn't say we're all that sad, all things told. Really, we're going to be positive about the offense, and then we're going to talk about the defense, which really struggled, but that's not too surprising. Exactly, Akusai, it should work for you. Tackle, in my opinion, is a dirty position in the NFL. It's not pretty. It's not clean. You either kept your guy off the quarterback or you failed to do so, and how you did it almost doesn't matter in the NFL. Like, if you kept the quarterback clean, but you ended up on the ground, who cares? At least that's my opinion. But, hey, not everybody likes that. Some people want to see their left tackle maul 100% of the time. This play design was a really nice wrinkle. Also, I am Skox. You mentioned that, but it is hilarious just hearing about all the Xbox stream stuff. But so, one thing that I thought was really intriguing, we saw this, and I hope the Bears keep doing it, right? We've seen it before that the Bears will run like a deep scissor. I'd cut that too wide. But so they'll run something that looks more or less like this, probably like that plus, here. And so you'll end up seeing a max protect package where every single person on this offensive line and the tight ends are going to all block plus the running back so that they can try to get one of these guys open, right? And Giro Simos, great to have you along. One thing that I love that the Bears added to this play, because you've seen that a lot of defenses have seen this now, so they're going to see the max protect look and just sink backwards, exactly like they do. Just watch everybody vacate the space, because they're trying to take away the over-the-middle throw. You can't let Mooney come wide open, right? Like, you've got to... I know. It's every single time, Case. But so... You can't let Mooney come wide open. He's come wide open almost every single game that he's run this. So you're going to see the linebackers robot backwards, which is basically just running backwards as fast as they can to try to take away this exact point of the field. But what the Bears did to tag onto it is that they end up with Jesse James coming back on a windback block from the other side to take this one away as Cole Kmet leaks out into the wide open middle of the field. Credit to the Bears. This totally worked for good reason. The linebackers, like the only one who's got his head towards the Bears or like towards Justin Fields is Warner, because Warner's just that good. Like he can sink backwards without fully roboting, which usually involves turning around more like 45. But this means that Cole Kmet catches the ball free and easy and picks up, a very, very comfortable 12 yards. I love this because on this very max protect look, you end up not only generating a third route combination that the defense has to like find and stop, but you take advantage of a very easy throw for Justin Fields that now defenses have to account for. You can't just sink your linebackers back against this play action attack, or you'll end up with 85 barreling down. And regardless of what you think of Cole Kmet, you better believe he can catch the ball, turn up field in a straight dadgum line, and pick up a first down. Like, does he need to work on tight contested catches? Sure. But yeah, I mean, it's not as if that's all too tough. And frankly, I think that's good usage of scheme, all things told. But so when you say find late, what are you thinking, Reinhardt? But so, like, they really could have, Jason, run this all game. I mean, these are the sorts of things that I'm surprised that they didn't run more, and I think they could run more because that exact sort of tight end leak really, really helps the offense. At least I think so. Because they end up, exactly like Scott's saying here, basically just playing a game of which one's blocking and releasing versus which one's blocking, and you can leak a lot of guys out that way and pick up yardage. It's not crazy, but at least it helps. So from here, one thing I thought was interesting is this is just a basic RPO that doesn't work. Looks as if Fields takes a look out towards that defender over there. Let me get this. Go back to here. So looks like Fields takes a look at 29. 29 is going to bubble out that way, so he gives the ball away. But one thing you notice that the Bears are watching basically the whole game is that as Fields keeps his eyes, he's got his eyes on 96, but he definitely, like the whole Bears staff, watches the edge defender, who on these give situations pretty much spends the whole game crashing down towards the running back. And as you guys know, Fields and the Bears keep that in mind for later. But so that makes sense. Read option bubble tag. But even so, it was interesting. Like you talk about the chess match between offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. I love the idea that you could see the Bears clearly watching that the edge was crashing and getting ready to use that later and trying to just pick their spot at that point. But we will get there. Also, are we really wearing Color Rush, Raheem? Are we? Because Color Rush is the worst. Like, Bears Color Rush is awful. At least I think so. Because don't they do the Navy? Like, isn't it the Navy pajama suit? But not my favorite uniform. I love a lot of what they do outside of that. But, yeah, I'm one of the putsy 27-year-olds, I guess, that just hates that Color Rush uniform. Maybe if it was all orange, which I don't know what that would look like. But that one definitely, yeah. JP, great to see you. Glad to have you along. But Brandon, just for you, we're taking a look here. I think it's a straight RPO because I can't imagine Fields actually keeping that ball and attacking up the middle. But I don't know. Like, you tell me to some degree. It definitely is gussied up like a read option. But I would think he would pull and bubble on a straight RPO. But not in the room. The Bears are wearing white on navy. I take it. You know, D. Wilk, I call it classic. I gotcha. Was it, or did they scrape exchange? But so, anyways, moving on just a little bit. Here we've got a basic run up the middle where honestly, if memory serves, it is, yeah. No, this was a really solid zone read at this point on. I love the all white uniforms, AGM, 100%. Thanks so much, Jason. You're too kind. But so, I loved on this one. You can see Daniels, or what is this? Whitehair, not Kmet quite, but Mustipher, Daniels, and Whitehair pull the weight on this one that I thought totally worked. Like Mustipher ends up on the ground. I don't care. We talked about this already, that at this point, I would tell you that, like, if you watch Mustipher here, he gets a fairly easy assignment because he's basically just going to pull over and bump number 90, but at least he sends him. And so Whitehair and Peters work together to seal him. Whitehair gets out there, and Herbert's able to chug forward for 8 yards. Like, and Jordan, totally hear you. I'm by no means looking at these sorts of situations thinking he can't take it, but as somebody who wants our quarterback to be, what's the word, healthy, I don't mind every time he gives the ball away, especially on things like this where, yeah, I think he could definitely probably get away from 96, but then he's got to beat this guy, and I don't want the one-on-one personally. Somebody asked about my grade on Fields. Depends on what you want me to say. Like, the trouble is that if you grade him on the rookie scale, I think it was an A performance. Like, you had some mistakes for sure, but you had some plays that not your normal quarterback isn't making, and he did a lot of the little things right, which is hard for rookies, right? Like being on time on different reads, hitting the curl route, making sure your throws are accurate while still hitting the good ones, right? Making those big plays is tough. He'd probably be an A there. Like, as far as a regular quarterback curve, it probably drops a letter. It becomes a B. Could he have done more? Maybe. Like, you can cut down on some of the mistakes, but I hate doing that, if only because, yes, obviously we have to grade him on like an inflated rookie curve, but you get the idea. Is that Reinhardt Balin? Well, unusual, but we'll see you next time. These are exactly the kinds of plays where, thanks so much for participating, by the way. But so, getting back to brass tacks here, these are exactly the kinds of plays where when you watch Fields, I hope he not only builds off of these, but frankly can, like, that he just makes this a part of his game. I think this is where Trey Lance and Justin Fields have a lot of potential to be really, really dangerous, because as legitimate, and thanks so much, yeah, 100%, super excited. Like, but so, when we take a look at these plays, which is basically, looks to me like it's 100% of the way a PA rollout. So as Fields gets out there, because he's got a legitimate running threat, you're looking at 2 clear out routes with, I think, a tight end sailing up into the middle, and Mooney usually does something like that in this case. But so, like, as he looks down the field on this play, he realizes, okay, well, maybe I could squeeze this ball into Kmet, and maybe I could get Allen Robinson there. Ooh, maybe I could dot this with a floaty ball to, I think that's Jesse James, like cutting right up the seam. But you know what? Why would I not just cook this guy in the running game and just beat him down the sidelines for a gain? It sounds silly on 3rd and 1, but the key that I'm at least seeing is Fields I think personally that Fields must have gotten coached that, hey, bud, you run a 4-4. You need to use that. I get that you want to throw the ball. I get it. But you've got to use your legs because they're too good to just put on ice. And you could clearly tell that in a lot of these situations, Fields was basically playing full speed, like 100% as fast as he could. And I think it worked. Like, I mean, obviously I think it worked, but there are a whole bunch of these settings where we've seen Fields. We saw it in, what is it? We saw it against the Buccaneers, where Fields probably would have coast rolled, like just kind of trotting along as this defender crashed down on him and tried to pass the ball to Jesse James, who, you know, hey, he might have caught it, turned up field and gotten big yards. Don't get me wrong. Fields knows that. That's why he looks for these, but he realizes he's one-on-one in a race to an edge against an edge rusher. Like, he'll be all right. And so he just beats him with speed, breaks the shoestring tackle, and gets to the edge. We need to see that it is consistent enough to where he can do it and do it again, because obviously he's gotten tackled a whole bunch, but as you can see right there, he doesn't even get touched. Like, to say he broke a tackle is to look at the wide angle and make an assumption. Like, at full extension, 56 doesn't get him. This is as easy as it gets. And from there, Fields picks up, I mean, the first down was back there. Fields picks up another 6-7 yards, so on and so forth. Jay, you know, 10 years ago, you could easily say like that maybe only 5 get the edge. Nowadays, it's closer to like 8. Let's go through. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, some of them have gotten older. But like Russ used to be able to get the edge. Kyler absolutely could. Lamar obviously can. I think Josh Allen could get that edge. Herbert might. I haven't seen stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of this that exactly kind of like Omar's looking at, where I think Daniel Jones could do it. But so I would definitely tell you that the key here is Fields was able to weaponize his legs and make himself more than just a rookie quarterback that watches, or what's the word? Like, he was more than a rookie quarterback that can hit good throws. And instead, he became a rookie quarterback that has a real threat you got to watch with his wheels that they had to account for. They didn't do a great job of it, but it worked. Exactly. Like, so for those asking how Borum played, I think he looked better than a 5th-round rookie with no practice should. Like, here's honestly a nice little rep from Borum and a solid throw from Fields, but I think we're slathering on him enough. Like, if you watch 75 right here, he does a really good job in pass protection, just getting down, keeping, like, making his hand placement good enough, so on and so forth, and he's able to extend the play. I mean, look, remember, I'm going to use a phrase that I think got thrown around a little too much for somebody else, but on some of these passing plays, it's the guy's job to just be a speed bump. You know what I mean? Like, right here, Borum does not need to be more than a speed bump or a little bit of a roadblock for Bosa, because the ball's coming out right at the back of Fields' drop, and that's right on time. Like, personal opinion, zip, right there. You take the 5 to 6 yards, so on and so forth. Like, exactly, Case. It's not stonewalled or so on and so forth, but it's doing the job. Personal opinion, Mike, it's always hard for me to tell when it comes to Mitch versus Fields. I think that I would have taken year 4 Mitch or year 3, year 4 Mitch as of 2 weeks ago, but this Fields looked a lot stronger. And I don't think last game really counts, because it was basically any quarterback would have just gotten destroyed. But this game specifically, if he sticks to this, kind of like if Mitch stuck to week 2 against the Giants, where I thought he played really well, like I personally would have, I think I would stick with Fields just on potential alone. But that's where things get so complicated, is that you weren't asking that, like, about potential, but I factored it in anyways. It's complicated. It's a net. It's a web. But so you get the idea. Honestly, Mike, glad you enjoy it. So you saw a lot of this. Credit to Peters and credit to Whitehair, who had a good start, and then Whitehair really fell off by the middle. But they just wash everybody down. Like, they get everybody flowing this way, and Herbert's able to snap it back up the field for a gain of some, which ceases. Like, the Bears hit a point where it felt like every time they ran the ball, they wasted it down. And then here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Pulls. What does he see? He sees Jesse James open. He lets the ball go. Bang! Bears touchdown. Like, what is it? His 4th one of the year? And yes, welcome to all the newcomers. You guys are great. But this is gorgeous. You don't need to tell you. You know what I mean? This is one that commentators are going to slobber over. This is one that analysts are going to go over. Bears Our Ass on Twitter is going to look for 30 to 35 likes throwing this. Like, this is bananas. Like, this is a great throw. This is a really good throw. And, like, rolling left, spots up, or what? Yeah, what's it? He's rolling left. He's going to spot up Jesse James right here. Nice little play design. It is I would call this like a throw or go route. I mean, these are exactly the kinds of plays that I feel like the Bears at this point. Ryan Anthony, thanks so much for jumping in. Like, I would tell you that these are the kinds of plays that the Bears differentiated themselves with, where they gave Fields. So Bryson, I saw you were in the chat. I haven't been ignoring you. You asked, how's Fields coming along reading the field? I feel like what the Bears did that helped a lot was that the Bears gave Fields, I wouldn't say less to work with, but they shortened some of his plays. Sometimes he was going to go through 3 reads. That's no problem. Other times, like this one, he's going to roll out into space, and if Jesse James isn't there, you just run the ball. And he would have been fine. Like, it's not about simplified sensor. I mean, I guess it is. I would call it streamlined, as silly as it sounds. Like, David V, great to see ya. Like, I think that's where things get tough, right? So somebody said they sheltered him. And Omer, I would tell you most of these quarterbacks get sheltered. Everybody thinks that Matt Stafford is going, that's my 1, and that's my 2, and that's my 3, and, I've got my 4 over here. Not really. Like, most of the time, quarterbacks, especially in really healthy offenses, they have like 1 to 2 look reads. Sometimes 3. They'll go 1, 2, check it down. That's what Carr's whole career is at this point. So I would look at this and I would tell you that what I really liked about what they did with Fields' game plan is that they gave him a game plan that he could just play fast with, and credit to Fields, credit to Fields, he played fast within it. He sped up. So they gave him they gave him an inch and he took a yard. This throw is really, really hard. Like, this throw has to be perfect if you're going to hit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be good because you've got a corner undercutting a tight end. And so when Fields lets this go and beats the outstretched arm of that corner, who really did do his darndest for Fields' 3rd touchdown of the year. I mean, this is fun. We've said for weeks now, don't put him in the Hall. This one actually might end up on his career highlight reel. Like, this is nasty. The only reason you hope it doesn't end up on his highlight reel is because you hope he does better than that. But you get the idea. And yeah, I do think so somebody said Jesse James has better hands than Cole Kmet. I mean, depends. Like, Cole's bigger and he's able to do a little bit more like blocks and so on, or with blocks and so on and so forth. But I do feel like a lot of people are just starting to gas down Cole Kmet, and that's fine. Like, whole bunch of people are going to feel free to have whatever opinion you want to about Cole Kmet. I'm really not going to stand in your way because at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. But like, I would tell you that most of the Cole Kmet hate, I think, is coming from where he was selected, not the player he is at this point. And Jordan, I know you would take a white tight end in the 2nd round. You don't need to go down that road for your own heart's sake. But I will tell you that I think Cole is developing into a better tight end than some people want to give him credit for. But it's not like the tight end that I think some people want him to be. Does that make sense? But so anyways, we'll get there. Jordan, to just answer your question real fast, I think Cole Kmet would want to have it back, but based on the fact that he went at it with one arm, no, for crying out loud. It's not a drop. Like, he definitely got it held, but you get the idea. Anyways, we'll get there. Like, I do think Kmet might want to spin around a little bit faster. I think the throw is, I would want Fields to make that throw again. Like, Kmet was there. Maybe he throws it a little bit differently, puts a little bit less heat on it, so on and so forth. I don't think the throw had to be quite the rocket that it was, for instance, but he's a rookie. I'll take the ball being in the area code. I got low standards. Like, we're talking about rookie quarterbacks, people. I got low standards. And so at this point, I would look at it and say, I'll chalk it up to reps, because I always like just being like, reps fault. Like, he would have loved for him to have had more reps in preseason, but you get the idea. So don't watch Borum on this play, because this is like most of the game, honestly. And this might be a little bit of Daniels stuff. Like, this could be a little bit of Daniels not moving quite with his guy, but you see a lot of this where Borum doesn't quite get in front of his assignment. He just sort of gets on the angle, and then 93 here is going to run all the way over and make the play. Like, so is it Borum's fault? No, but there were some plays in the run game for sure where Borum showed that he's got some room to improve there. Like, you compare him to the feet that Jason Peters shows, and you could see a clear difference, which, duh, right? One of them's going to the Hall. The other is a 5th-round rookie. But if you watch Peters' feet, you're going to see he keeps a lot of strength in the way that he moves them. Very low center of gravity. Feet are always consistently, like, square to his shoulders so that he can apply as much strength as possible. Where I feel like Borum's feet are a little looser. Like, you got to get your head over here, for instance. And so I don't think necessarily that Borum was bad. He's a 5th rounder. You know what I mean? But I do think, personally, that his run blocking and his feet in general are going to use some practice. Pass blocking, shockingly natural, all things told. Run blocking makes sense. And censored, yeah, I mean, he lost 45 pounds. Number 75 lost 45 pounds over the offseason, for crying out loud. Like, he got so much lighter. He used to be able to just lean on people. Like, he would just throw his body at people and just sit on him, more or less, and stop him in the run game, because he was 350 pounds in college. Now he's not. He's not that heavy. And so he's got to develop a little more technique and a little more ability to push this in. So this play, by the way, was definitely, oh, Mike, we're going to get the chance to see it. So Nagy calls this one a lot. It's like basically just a deep PA spot right here, where normally what you end up seeing is that the running back kicks out to the flat, and a lot of times the linebacker will bite down on it, and Fred Warner is not those linebackers. Like, you could see him shade over this way as if that's where he was going, and then he recognizes Fields is going to throw the ball and makes a really, really, really nice ball, or like nice tip as he gets a hand on this. I don't think this was terrifying in the conventional sense, but man, this was a heck of a play. Like, it's not even trying to bait Warner. Like, as far as the quarterback goes, Case, this is a trust throw. Like, we've seen Mitch throw this 100 times. This is all about just hitting the right timing. Like, he's just trying to make sure Fields is just working to keep the safety off of it. And so he releases that ball. He fits it basically off the shoulder of Warner, and $20 million. Honey, what was her last name? This is Sydney Hightower's fiance. That's what I know Warner as these days. Is he's, in case you didn't know, Sydney Hightower from The Bachelor is engaged to Fred Warner, and man, did he make a play here! Full extension to tip this ball. I think it's a solid throw, all things told. Certainly got tons of zip on it, but that's one that I would look at you and I would say this is like a designed throw. If it gets picked, I don't want to say it's not on Fields, because obviously every quarterback it's trying to not throw interceptions, but you let this thing rip, or like you let this thing rip 10 times out of 10, and you try to make absolutely certain. Yes, it's Sydney. I apologize. Did I not say Sydney? But so I don't know if a vet would look him off per se, but if the Bears may call an adjustment next time, all things told, because exactly like you're saying, Jason, I would tell you that Fields curls in the wrong, or not Fields, Mooney curls in the wrong place. Like, if Mooney gets a little deeper in, and is that Carol Lee Wilkins? Great to have you along. But if Mooney gets a little deeper in, like even just right here, it's an easier throw for Fields. But you get the idea. But so, Scott, it could be entertaining. But so, yeah, this is one that, again, I don't want to sound like I'm just, I don't know. The trouble is there are so many people that are willing to look at anything Fields does and proclaim him, a god of Olympus, that I feel like I have to say something negative about him to qualify. And then I watch throws like that and I'm like, this thing's dirty. Like, this is so nice right here, where Fields takes a snap, he looks over, he dots Allen Robinson's arm. Like, if Robinson doesn't lose his balance on this play, Robinson turns around and picks up a lot of yardage. Like, I love the placement on this throw. Fields hits the back of his hits the back of his drop with a wide base right there, launches the ball, like puts it right to where Allen Robinson is spinning. Like, at this point, Allen Robinson is basically getting a curl route converted into a snag route. And I'm a huge fan of that, because with an in-breaking route right here, if Robinson catches it, he just goes whoop. And again, this isn't Orlovsky. This isn't touchdown, wow. But this is like probably a 15 to 20 yard gain with a lot of yards after catch. But hey, instead, Robinson catches it, has the wherewithal to just keep rolling, baby. Just keep rolling, and makes the play enough. Love the throw, though. Like, This is him taking a look, dotting it to his number one wide receiver, and firing it. But yeah, Sean, unfortunately, I know what you mean. But so, like, this to me, or if there's one thing that I would say about Fields that he did that I don't know if enough people are really talking about, it's that Fields was dirty. He was filthy on third down. Like, he was so good on third down specifically, that it just kept drive after drive after drive alive, because the Bears were calling second down run, second down run, second down run, second down run, just constantly. So what I loved about this one is that it looks to me as if, let me make sure I've got the names right. Oh, I thought that was Mooney. Are you kidding me? So basically, at this point, Fields looks on the deep, then he looks at the curl, and then he goes. That's it, right? This is just a quick little read where he takes a look at the seam. He sees, okay, so he's got the safety on him, and he's got a sinking linebacker. So then he peeks over here. He doesn't like it. He sees the corner already looking backwards. Like, he is at this point thinking, okay, well, curl's not there. I got to get, or like, feels 71 up against him, says, I got to go, and just bails. Could he have hit the check down? I mean, maybe. Don't get me wrong. Like, the check down's there for him. Like, probably right, there. But he gets out. I've got no problem with it, because he picks up, as you can see, about 3 yards. If he can take all of these little things and get a couple yards out of him where an incompletion should be, I've got no issue with it. Like, these are the sorts of things, exactly, Mike. Like, you could throw to Herbert. Absolutely could. One thing that I appreciate about Fields, I really do, is that Fields doesn't seem to want to try to snap throw on the run, all things told. You can kind of tell that at least throughout this game, we'll see if he keeps doing it, like, we'll monitor for sure. But you can tell that Fields, like most quarterbacks, say it's Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, they're just going to flick the ball to 24 right here, right? But so what Fields tends to do is, in this game at least, once he starts running, he doesn't really want to stop. And so he pulls his eyes down and just focused on running hard and running fast. Because to his credit, I mean, if you trot out and try to extend the play, you might just get sacked at this point. But so, instead, Fields jets. He gets 3-ish yards. And so, let me see. Somebody's saying, Komet, are we picking on somebody who's not in the read again? Let's take a look. So Komet is wide open, and they'll probably talk to him about it, but it looks like they just wanted the seam or the curl. In fact, the whole seam may have just been a decoy, all things told, because he stares down that curl for actually quite a good long time and just gets out, makes a play, gets 3 yards. You don't need to pat your head too hard about it, but he's able to take what could have been a sack, Fields has taken a lot of sacks in his career, so anything could be a sack at this point. Whitehair does a pretty good job controlling 92. Borum is totally unnoticeable, that in a good way, but exactly, like, Grant, it's not like crazy open. It's Madden open, but it's probably not real open, and that's fine. At least that's not where he was intending to look, because then they move on to, now it's 2nd and 7. So obviously, since it's 2nd and 5 or more, they've got to run the ball. And on this one, is this the one I think it is? No. Yes. So on this one, Borum's going to miss Wagner. Like, it's not an easy assignment, don't get me wrong, to get to 54, but you can clearly tell he was supposed to. He does not get there, and that ends up blowing the play up with Wagner coming downhill and stuffing it. But so, like, this is one where, again, do I want to see Borum get there? I mean, sure. He takes kind of a weird counter-looking step to get there. I don't quite know what he was trying to do, but yeah, maybe it was a gather step, all things told. But it's he doesn't get there. Bears don't get much. Now it's 3rd and 3, and so here Bears just run their basic sprint out. They do this one constantly. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, Kusai, he was trying to get around 91. I hate killing Borum for it because that one looked tough. Like, there are other ones that I think Borum struggled a little bit less with, all things told. But here, you guys have seen it before. The Bears usually like to run this one to A-Rob, but in this case, they run it to Mooney, where they're going to have A-Rob curl, and Mooney just comes out off of a pick route that they didn't need the pick. Like, it helps, though, because you can see this guy has to divert, and it's just a matter of making a throw, and Fields just wrists it right to him. One thing that has gotten really nice is that Fields really doesn't miss a lot of these. Like, to give the kid a little bit of credit, when you see the open receiver on the shorter route, he kicks the ball out, and the ball hits the guy in the hands. He's gotten much more consistent there than he was, or than what... Mitch was fairly accurate on short passes, so I don't need to say that. But Foles would definitely miss random ones all over the place. But you get the idea. What team should you use for an elimination tournament? What do you mean, this next week? We'll take a look at that at the end of the stream, because I don't want to give you an answer off the top of my head that's wrong. But so, next play after this one, like, seriously, you can tell that the Bears emphasized, hey, if nothing's open, don't force it. Because Fields takes a look. He's got, oh man, remind me. Yes. So the Bears are running this one. They like doing, let me get the formation. They like to run a rollout that basically looks like this. They're going to have Jesse James come out and up. They're going to have, I think it's Mooney, go like in and up. And then they have somebody else who comes across the formation that becomes the third actor in this. But, oh yeah, it's Robinson right there. And so nothing's really open. Like, this is the part where usually, Fields would be looking to throw, but they've got James covered, they've got Mooney bracketed, and they've got Allen Robinson covered right there. So he's just going to run the ball. Why wouldn't he, right? And he picked, like, it's wild to see the effect that this has on the game, because he just guns it and is able to end up shooting a gap for, remember, first down yards right here. He picks up a first down. Like, he just books it and ends up down right there, picking up a gain of about 15 yards. And the 49ers are like, well, he doesn't do this. Like, to be fair, this isn't Fields' game, all things told. And, like, it hasn't been, at the very least. You could say, well, he's got a 4-4. This is part of his game. It hasn't been. Normally, he uses his incredible speed to roll out and find throwing lanes, but right now, he did a good job in this game of forcing the 49ers defense to recognize that he's a running threat, which opened up more throwing lanes, as we saw in the second half. The Bears didn't even capitalize on all of them, but that definitely, like, stuck out to me, all things told. Maybe it did, BG. But so, yeah, I'll take the confidence, too. I think that those are fairly easy. And not to mention, Grant, exactly, he found his way right there, but he just booked it. And Omar, I don't think that there's any issue with, like, designed runs. Like, let's see. So it's funny that you ask. So Mike asks in this case, is this him being smart and running, or giving up on his receivers because they never get open? That's a great question. The answer actually comes down to coverage. Generally speaking, what it looks to me like the Niners are doing is that they're running cover 3 on the back end with decent zone schooling, all things told, with their linebackers that basically would look like that, all things told. So these guys are covering the flat with Warner here in the deep middle, cover 3 on the back end, and then they pattern match their zones, right? So they basically realize, okay, these are the guys who we're covering, and they they just match from there. But the reason that this matters is because basically from here, this coverage becomes kind of similar to man coverage. Like, these guys stick to the wide receivers. Well, in case you didn't know, man coverage is really, really good for the quarterback to run the ball with, because nobody's covering him. Like, since nobody's manned up against the quarterback, as you'll see, Fields gets a huge head of steam, and as he does, it takes until, like, now for this guy to suddenly start treating him like a running threat. Credit to A-Rob, he hits a big block on Fred Warner to open this up, and Jesse James's guy is just way late to the play, all things told, as Fields finds a nice little sliver of daylight and creeps his way through. But so Packers situation is hilarious, by the way. And it is a nice little block by A-Rob. Keep an eye on him, like right here. It looks like it might not be Warner. It's 36. But he sees Fields running and just throws himself in the way. Like, good enough. Helps open the daylight. But so, to answer the question, it's not Fields giving up. It's Fields recognizing I could ask the world of my receivers, or I could make things easier for them. Because every time, just in case, or it makes sense when you think about it, but every time a quarterback does this right here, like where he runs that much, now this guy, next time he does it, is going to think, oh shoot, I got to get down. I can't let Fields run. Or maybe both of them. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this with Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen. I mean, once you become a bona fide threat when it comes to running the ball, you end up where you'll end up with two DBs that think I've got to be the guy who goes and gets him and creating open windows. Because Fields runs the ball, he gives them a different threat that they have to think about. Him running the ball has to be part of the play. Like, every time he rolls out, his read is included. And it wouldn't surprise me, now that I think about it, no kidding, Akusai, but it wouldn't surprise me if I had to think about it, if in the receiver or in the quarterback rooms, they have been hammering home, hey, Justin, your legs are part of the read, and you're not picking them. Like, you can do that. If you pick up 150 yards on the ground, you pick up 100 yards on the ground. Go for it. Like, nothing's wrong with it, and so on and so forth. Exactly, Mike. Like, it is the modern NFL. Draw and dump is the key. And Bryson will probably still do it Wednesday. The whole reason that I cooked it up on Wednesday is so that I could get I'll make a quick turnaround, all things told. I think I can handle it. But so, here's one thing that I thought was really interesting, and I need all my rules aficionados. So I have seen in the college game and the pro game 8 to 10 yard RPOs run all the time. Like, and if Fields threw this ball any earlier, I feel like Mooney would turn around and it would staple into the back of his head. Like, Fields hits the back of his drop and throws it immediately, and Whitehair is 3 yards downfield. Like, it's an easy call. Like, this is an eligible man downfield. It's earned. Like, in fact, there's 3 guys past that 1 yard mark. Because remember, they're legally only allowed to be there. But I mean, are refs just calling it more? Because it kind of feels like it. I mean, that's not a problem. You know what I mean? The idea of them calling it more. But it does feel like he let this ball go, and it's not like I think Fields threw it late, but okay, that would make sense, Mike, because like Brandon, that would go right to what you're saying, because when Fields throws this ball, it's on time for. I've seen this play run 1 billion times in college, and they called it here, and I would pin it on Fields, kind of like how you pin delay of games on the quarterbacks, but it's not like the play was meant to be thrown any sooner, so maybe the Bears just thought they could get away with it, and they didn't. Like, that's, not ideal. But so, then, here we've got another real winner of a play with Mustipher. Like, if you take what Mustipher is asked to do on this play, I just think it's wild. Like, it's silly, right? Because at this point, why am I taking Mustipher's side? Well, most of it's because when you keep watching, like, what the Bears are doing on offensive line, I mean, I think we all know what Mustipher is at this point, don't we? Like, we know he's not very good. So then you end up with plays like this where he's got to go all the way around on 98 and seal him out. And I'm like, why are we asking Mustipher to do that? Like, I get it. He didn't do it well. Like, am I going to grade him badly for it? I don't know. Yes. But they're asking on this outside zone play for him to get all the way over there, specifically, by the way. Like, everybody's going to step far enough that Mustipher is somehow going to make it all the way to the other shoulder of the guy to his left. And surprise, surprise, Sam does not get there. Why would he? Right? And yeah, Scott, it is zone blocking, but it's one of those where I really can't tell at this stage where like I or like what the trouble is, because they're just, it's not like they're not helping Sam Mustipher. I want to say Sam Mustipher bloom. It's more like he's a UDFA. He's obviously really struggling, and so a lot of the key blocks that he misses, like it's the factor. It's pretty bad. Like Mustipher's not good on this case. Like he plays like a backup UDFA center, and that's okay. But it is bizarre to me that in this, I think it's outside zone, but like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like that maybe he's supposed to go in and there, because yeah, it's just a matter of like outside zone blocking. But either way, 98 punches straight through. So maybe he just needed a touch to reset him. But so then this is another terrible play call. Like here, I hope, by the way, Herbert fans, warm your engine up, right? Because you're about to see it. This is one of my favorite plays Herbert made all day. But so it's 2nd and 12, and the Bears are going to run the ball. Why? I don't know. Why do they decide that on 2nd and 12, for crying out loud, you're going to run the ball? Beyond me. But Khalil Herbert rescues the play. Like, they run what looks to me like a draw right here. I don't know where the draws all came. Like, I have no idea why the Bears decided to call what looked like 5 draws, all things told. But so Herbert takes this, faces off against an unblocked defender, beats him, gets to the next guy, beats him too, gets up the sidelines. Now it's 3rd and 3. Like, this is wild, in my opinion. And yeah, John, I mean, it's hilarious, right? No one in their right mind would run a draw on 2nd and 12. But to me, this is, it's 36, not Warner. To me, this is Herbert just rescuing it. I mean, credit to the kid, right? Like, it's not like this is easy. It's not like that's the kind of play that you look at and you think, man, the Bears really picked a winner here. And Bob, I hear you on believing in Herbert, but it is hilarious to me when I watched this one and I was like, yeah, we're going to run it on 2nd and 12 just so that Herbert can completely rescue us on the next down over. Like, wild to me watching what this kid can do. Wonderful little shimmy shake right there as he gets to 3rd and 3 to just barely creep it into what is analytically considered successful. So, there you go. But, so, yeah, don't love the play call. Big fan of Khalil Herbert. He's just super fun to watch. But so then, let me see here. Basic first down run on this play. Fields sees that the edge crashes down again, but he gives this one to Herbert. My guess is it was a designed give all the way. I mean, you're only looking for 3 yards. But the Bears do notice that, again, 45, subtly enough, is coming right on down, right? So they just keep that in mind. I mean, not too hard to see, all things told. 71, Jason Peters is the primary guy here, as he's going to do a lot of work, just pushing the pile, along with Cody Whitehair, creating that backside lane. Peters is probably the Bears' best lineman right now, which is hilarious to say about a 39-year-old. I mean, we all lived through, I assume, unless we have some like really young Bears fans in here, we all lived through the Orlando Pace experience back in the day, and Peters has been anything but. Like, he has been awesome. So then Fields takes a sack. All this good, right? All this good. And Fields takes this sack, which I don't think is a good one. Like, if I was going to tell you straight out, now granted, Bears bring in Alex Bars, and they decide that for some reason they're going to leave Alex Bars one-on-one against Nick Bosa, which is not the world's smartest call, in my opinion. But Fields drops back. He's got tons of time to see this coming. He thinks he can step in and then whip around and beat Bosa, all things told. But to me, there's a difference between feeling yourself and making a mistake. Like, yes, the turf is not good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I hear all of you guys on surface, but I think Fields could have easily seen this situation and made a decision like that was a little stronger than I'm just going to stand here, let him get closer so that I can beat him. Again, I get where Fields is coming from. He makes a bunch of plays similar to this later in the game, but this I would describe as an unnecessary risk. It's not like it's a bad hit or so on and so forth, but when you've got Ryan Nall, your check down wide open on a play like this, just dump the ball down. Like, you got somebody coming straight at you, dump the ball down. But, like, Mike, I totally get you. Bars doesn't need to tackle, like, Nick Bosa, because that's a hold. That's a guaranteed 10-yard loss. But if it was me, like, and I was coaching him, because you've got basically Cole Kmet is running a wheel with, I don't know which receiver that is, but he's running, like, a post right here, and they're intersecting, but they've got 3 defenders in the area with a second safety over the top. But Ryan Nall slipped on out of the backfield, and he's absolutely wide open with nobody near him. Just dump the ball down. Like, at this, maybe that's probably what I would do. And Bob, who knows? Maybe there is truly a degree of this that, like, Fields looked and thought about it. But I think personally that Fields just got caught thinking about the deep one. Like, my guess is that he saw Kmet getting even and thought, ooh, can I throw this? No. And then tried to get away right there. Didn't quite. Rookie learning moment. Like, we've seen plenty of these all up and down. I personally am really boring and textbook, so I love it when my quarterback in these situations takes the check down in the face of clear and obvious pressure. It's just a goofy situation because in this moment, obviously Bosa has him beat so quickly that I would tell you that most quarterbacks have so much time to think about hitting the check down that just get rid of it. But kind of like Case just mentioned, at the same time, this is who Justin Fields is. I don't know if we're ever going to get away from these kinds of sacks. You just live with them and you take the good plays and you hope for more good plays in place of the bad plays instead of trying to eliminate all the bad plays and potentially hedging down your good plays. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing to take the check down, but also I'm not silly enough to say that you're going to go a game where Fields takes like no sacks, more than likely. But yeah, I tend to think you're exactly right, Grant, that as he continues and continues and continues to just get more and more and more reps with those situations, he'll get better and better about saying, I got to get out now versus I don't got to get out now. And yeah, Bryson, exactly. Russ still rarely takes the check down to this day. Now, the bright side is, 2nd and 21, this is where Fields, I think, started to separate himself from Bears quarterbacks of the past, because on 2nd and 21, he makes a play that picks up 16 yards. Like, actually might be more than that. Like, closer to 17 yards at this point. And the 49ers give the Bears a gift, as right here, 98 just about takes the guy's head off, all things told. Like, so the Bears pick up a illegal hands to the face flag as Fields gets away. Thanks so much, Eric Pontino. You have no idea how much that means to me. But Fields gets on out, doesn't get touched again, and from there, just ends up creating a 23-yard gain, all things told. Bears collect the first down, so had nothing happened, they'd still be first and blank. But credit to Fields again for just having a quicker trigger on getting the heck out of there. And so Larry Borum, credit to him, stymies his guy enough with James Daniels coming over to go get some work. But Fields knew when to just hit the burners. And there, I mean, just take a look at this, because I hadn't actually seen this the first time. So here's the drop, right? Watch Fields race with this guy and just cleanly win the race, all things told. Like, he's going to take off right there. And so he tries to take a more aggressive angle to shut down the quarterback run, and he gets toasted for it. You can clearly see that curl around. Like, Fields played much faster in this game than I think personally that other defenses had seen him play, because the 49ers, look, I don't want to say they weren't ready for it, but they weren't really ready for it. And the Bears took advantage. But so, let me take a look. What do we got? Oh, one other thing that I will say, about that last play, because it can be easy. Like it can be legitimately easy to look at all of these plays, right, and say, "Oh man, so perfect, incredible. Fields is amazing." There's a little bit to critique on this one. If we wanted to polish everything up perfectly, right, I think Fields could leave a little bit earlier on this one. Like, for instance, once he gets to this point, like this check down, it's not covered, but he clearly isn't thinking about it. I think Fields could be just getting out right now. He sets to throw to a route that isn't really there. Like, he thinks about forcing it and here leaves, but it's a little closer of a call than maybe you want it to be. Maybe this never changes, but if I was just going to try to put on my as honest as I can be evaluator hat, like he could have left maybe a smidge earlier just for the sake of not getting sacked. Because the only reason I bring it up is because Nick Bosa gets his hands on Justin Fields, and how common would you consider it that Bosa is going to get his hands on Fields and Fields is going to get away without falling, as we've seen against the Raiders, the Bucks, like the Packers, plenty of teams. It's not that easy to break a professional defensive lineman's tackle, so you don't necessarily want them getting hands on your pants, but hey, it works out here. So, nice rookie moment, plus playmaking ability, so on and so forth. Herbert makes another nice play here. Like, you watch the kid run, and you're like, hot dang, as he breaks another 2 tackles on this one. We gotta speed things up just a little bit if we're gonna talk about any defense. But yeah, I mean, like, this really is one of those case. I love that. Just goodness gracious, Herbert. Like, way to go, dude. But so this one I thought was really interesting because this to me showed real growth, right? As you're going to see Mooney, like the Bears call a double move shot for Darnell Mooney that does not work. Like right here, Mooney's going to run here, he's going to stutter, and then he's going to take off. And so at this point, like when it doesn't work, he's got 2 routes still left in his package where he's got Cole Kmet coming across on a crosser, which he immediately gets to, and he's got Herbert coming out the back end. And I find this one so interesting because Fields waits. You can see the double move right here, and you can see him get off of it. Like, he's already off of it. He's even already thrown the ball. Like, he knows this corner isn't giving it away. And so he gets very quickly to Cole Kmet right on time. So in time, as a matter of fact, that I think he missed a potential bigger gain to Herbert. Now, he's a rookie, so we're not in the world of like we're not in the world of like he could have gotten a bigger gain if he had done blank yet. But it was interesting, I think cool in fact, to take a look and see I thought it was cool to see Fields take a look here, not like what he saw, immediately get to Cole Kmet one-on-one with the linebacker and pick up 2 really boring yards. Like, it wasn't a sack. It wasn't him running around more than he had to. It was just a quick, that's not there, let me take this. And you appreciate those. Those are little moments of growth for a rookie that likes to hang on to the football. And we'll take those because whether it's Nagy's offense or a different offense going forward, any of those are good things to see from your rookie. Ball right where it should be so that Cole can catch it and go right down. But so, yeah, exactly, John. Speeding up his progressions is exactly it. And so then on this play, I hate it. I hate this one so much with a burning passion. So the Bears try a swing pass screen, and I swear there's nothing they can do that makes any of these screens any good, because you're going to see that they basically are setting up another draw as all 4 of these linemen are going to pass block, but Mustafa snaps the ball and just immediately runs out, which is his assignment, but it gives everything away. Like, Mooney is going to run a curl. Allen Robinson is going to run a curl, and they don't pick either of their defenders. Like, I don't know who they practiced this against or what they thought was going to work, but as soon as these guys see Mustafa running really far, like down, yeah, this is not a normal play, is it? Like, as soon as you see the center just bail out of the offensive line, you're probably thinking, oh, this is a super normal pass play, right? No, of course not. So this defender just streaks straight down and smokes Herbert for like no gain. What did they think was going to happen? Like, but before you say curls, 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 this is a swing screen. Like, this isn't curls in the standard way. These guys aren't open. They're decoys. They're just not good decoys. I don't know who drew this up on the whiteboard and thought, this is going to work. This is going to work great. But it didn't. Like, I would have much rather had Mooney and Robinson just stem up and then block their guy, because at least you would have had normal blockers all over the place. But this one, he just ends up with nobody near him and just smokes Herbert. I don't like the call. Like, I mean, yeah, Mike, because so for those who don't know, I always find this stuff really interesting. I never knew this. Most of these linebackers, they're watching the offensive line. Like, sure, you can watch the quarterback, all things told, but a lot of them watch the offensive line to get the sense for, okay, are we looking at a running play or are we looking at a passing play? And it's when Mustafa just gets up and runs that you can clearly tell as they look in and they see the center move out, they're thinking screen. And so he doesn't even know where it is. He's finding the screen target as Fields drops back. But yeah, like, they're trying to use the curl to freeze the defenders, and you must be exactly right, Brandon, that they must have thought it was man and that they could get the guy to freeze, but it didn't work. But so, yeah, there you go. Hang on. So you go. Now the Bears are at like 13 points, and they move on to the second half. But yeah, I think when they did shift into too high, frankly, when they played zone at all, it gave the defenders the chance to take a look and go. But man, censored, you couldn't be more accurate. The Bears are just so unbear. Get the joke? Ugly bad at screens. It is a little disturbing, all things told. Pat the goat. But yeah. One thing that I have noticed is that it feels like Fields has to do a lot of work at this point to get almost any of the yards that he gets. There's not a whole lot of free and easy yardage that Fields gets, and throws like this are just gnarly. I mean, surprise, surprise, after all of this that the Bears did, like, we talked about how cyclical the everything is, right? So Fields picked up 3 big gains with his legs in the early part of the game, and immediately as he comes out, notice this linebacker, he's thinking, okay, I got to stop that run. And they've got another defender peeling down, but that means Jesse James has a great little beautiful pocket to throw into. Like, he's rolling left, so it's a very tough throw, all things told, but because of that running threat, you've definitely got San Francisco a little wiser to the idea that they've got to honor that. So they take it away. Like, you're not running with that. But that gets Fields back to what he wants to do, and he just places that ball perfectly. Like, so good. There is, wait, did you said we're last in the league in yards or yards after catch? Not shocked at all. The trouble that I've always had with Nagy, like, I've said this a couple times on the show. The trouble is that if you ask me what Nagy's scheme is, I can't tell you what it is. I can tell you that in 2018, they ran Reed scheme with a couple of wrinkles. Then they ran, I'll give you guys one more, like, as I talk about this, one more from the back view. Look at this placement. Oh, so nice. But so, anyways, in 2019, they basically just tried to experiment with like a West Coast meets spread scheme. Then in 2020, they shifted towards Shanahan, and then they shifted towards Peterson with Foles, and then they like changed again to Shanahan light, and then they changed again for Andy Dalton, went more straight up West Coast, like straight up, like Jordan said, Walsh. And now it's just sort of everything. Like, now it's a little bit of Ryan Day at OSU, but they threw some of it out. A little bit of West Coast, but not like really West Coast, not like Dragon, not like Slants and Arrows, but like kind of with a little bit of a Shanahan element. It's just like play action and outside zone and some other stuff on top of that, but it's mostly those two. It sounds silly, but like really. And that's the thing. Like, Spirit Planes, Nagy, I don't know if he does have a scheme. Like, I kind of get the impression Nagy would consider himself, this is my opinion, right? I think if you asked Nagy what's his strength, right, he would tell you it's my flexibility. I personally think Nagy really believes he has no ego and he's incredibly flexible. The problem is that because Nagy doesn't have that core foundation where he believes in it, he doesn't have that Shanahan style, what's the word? Like, that he doesn't have that Shanahan style thing to fall back on, this is what I do, or that McVay style, this is what I do. He rips up his game plan after one doesn't work. Like, it sounds so silly, I'm serious, but I get the impression that he just thinks that he can coach around anything and ends up putting out a whole bunch of mush. Like, the problem is not only, Hitesh, is it no philosophy or a lack of conviction, JC, but you end up with like 9 guys doing one thing and 2 guys doing the other. Like, you end up with a whole bunch of confused bears. And so recently they've just gotten back to major basics. Like, they aren't doing hard plays anymore. They're doing very basic things that everybody can run, and it looks better. Like, now that they're finally running them, and they're not facing elite defenses, and then you end up with plays like this that are just, oof. I mean, check out Whitehair and Daniels on this one. This is, by the way, where Whitehair's game really starts to take a turn for the worse, as he gets just owned right there. He gets owned out of his spot. And then in this case, it's also Daniels that gets eaten alive on this play, as he just gets torn right through, controlled, whipped over. If it was a defensive play, we'd be like, oh, defender. It's Daniels on the other end of it who gets smoked. But yeah, I mean, Mike, I don't know what happened. It's wild, but something happened between 2018 and 2019, and who knows what it is. So this is that halfback read we talked about earlier. This was gorgeous. Like, for those who weren't here, because it looks like we're at about 193 viewers, thank you guys. The basic gist of this is that Cole Kmet's running like a clear out dig for Khalil Herbert to run a halfback option that they loved to run with Tariq Cohen in 2018. And as Fields, who's only looking at this side of the field, waits on the halfback option, he sees that Herbert might be running an angle route, but he also sees that Nick Bosa is going to curl inside on Larry Borum, trying to make a play. So he pumps, he heads for the outside, and he picks up 16 yards. He calls his own number at this point. Like, I appreciate, you know? These are the kinds of plays that it's Fields playing to his skill set. He could have definitely, like, jammed the ball in right there if he wanted to, if he needed to. But it's first down. So he just decides that he thinks he can make a play, and I'll take instinctive football plays. Like, obviously, if we come back next week and it's a problem, I'll just go ahead and say, I'm sorry, I graded that wrong. But he did great with those kinds of plays, and I would want him to, I would want him to keep it up. Like, those are exactly the sorts of things that make him dangerous and force edge defenders into a quandary of, well, what the heck do I do with this guy? Now, this is a bad throw. I don't think you need me to tell you it's a bad throw. I think it's a smidge late, all things told. Like, you can throw that ball right now, and it's easier, so that A-Rob catches it as he goes. He hesitates just a little bit, and ends up air-mailing it. And this hurts him later in the game, or it almost does, to Marquise Goodwin. But this is definitely one of those that you want him to have back. On a 31 throw game plan, well, at least he attempted 31 throws. He had 2 that were too high, and they were both over the middle on these exact kinds of posts. A little more work on him. And I get it. Here, because he's a little late, he's trying to throw over Warner, and he doesn't get there. So it, like, you can get what Fields is trying to do from the back end. Like, Mike, exactly. He is trying to keep the ball away from the linebacker, all things told. But because right here you can see he throws almost directly over him. But a lot of times what I've seen to cases are like, So yes, it is Fred Warner being Fred Warner. But on a lot of these plays, the way I've seen the quarterback get around it is that right after the play action, you plant and you immediately throw. Like, you just zip straight through there. But so, because he's just a little bit late, almost not early, all things told, you just, like, he rips it, ends up too high, happens. But so, exactly. Like, I would tell you, it's not, like, bad. Don't cry yourself to sleep over this one. But man, the more I watch this, by the way, like, it is wild, Jason, watching just how much ground Warner covers. You find yourself wondering, can Roquan do that? But I'm not trying to I'm not trying to go after him. But so, anyways, Borum doesn't do a phenomenal job on this right side run, and this is about where the 49ers just start absolutely tattooing the Bears on offense, or like the Bears running game. In this case, you'd almost think it's a bad read by Herbert, but Herbert takes this handoff, eyes up Borum and Kmet, and thinks there's no way these guys don't get this. Like, they're gonna keep him up. Nope, he got me. So those are the sorts of plays where when somebody would say, hey, what do you think of Borum? Well, I think he could get better than that. And then this might be arguably Fields' best play of the game, which is shocking because the fourth and one is obvious, right? Is that Ray Dory 17? Great to see you. This play was so good. Like, it is not as stylish, obviously, as the touchdown, which, who am I kidding? That's his best play. But this is gnarly. So, what is it? Marquise Goodwin's running a basic slant, but the key is they 49ers are throwing a kitchen sink blitz at Justin Fields, and Fields just, as he sinks a little bit further backwards, waits as long as he can before rifling a ball that's very catchable and ends up as a first down. It's like 3rd and 13, if memory serves. Like, this is a long gainer, all things told. But Fields takes it, finds where the blitz came from. Okay, hang on, let me wind it back just a little bit more. Like, this is really pretty. So one thing that you want to do as a quarterback, if you can do it, is what's the word? Like, you want to try, if you can identify where the blitz came from, to throw through it, because obviously you're going to leave a coverage hole usually right behind where that blitz would come from. So in this case, when the 49ers bring pressure like straight through this gap right here, which adds on to the rush, of course, Fields realizes that since he's got a route coming right behind this, you want to take advantage of it. Hunter Wiggins, thanks so much for subscribing. You're great. And so he lets go of this ball right there. Beautiful. And Marquise Goodwin makes a really nice play on it. We love that. But so, big fan. You can watch this from the back end. Fields IDs the blitz. Doesn't take a sack that has flummoxed him over time. Mustipher gives up 98 right there. Not great. There's a whole lot of one-on-one blocks that just generally don't get hit, and you wish they would. Yes, okay, there's a stunt. I hadn't seen the stunt, all things told. But I didn't. But so, here, Mustipher eats pressure right up the middle. Blitz definitely gets home. But Fields releases the ball. Perfect. That's exciting. The plays with his legs are awesome. Those kinds of plays with his arms are wild to me, because that's what can make him a really, really, really nicely balanced dual threat quarterback. But so, let's see here. So here's another run that gets annihilated. No idea what happens to it. It looks like it's Whitehair, I think. It gets smoked. Let's take a look. 65. Whitehair just doesn't get out to 24. And so 24 makes a nice play on it. Credit to the 49ers DBs, because it does take solid defensive coaching to get your DBs up the field to make a tackle, but they just crush them. Rushing yards minus Justin Fields, it's not like 20, it's closer to like 80, but most of them were in the first half. Like, they were Herbert up front. And then Fields fits a nice ball right there for third down. And then, let me see here. Yeah, we'll just rip through a couple of these because I do want to spend just a little bit of time on defense. We're going obviously really detailed on the offense, but yeah, first half was good running the ball. Second half was trouble. Like Marshall's saying, they were just terrible plays overall. But man, so Fields makes another sparkler here. I mean, he was doing this all game long. Like he was doing this all game long. It's really, really wild watching him where like you end up with Marquise Goodwin held on this play. Looks like they were trying to run some kind of a deep. Hard to tell whether it was like a corner or a curl. I don't know. But Fields gets away from triple pressure up front, hits us. Yeah, exactly, Cole. A nasty spin move. And so the Bears pick up a defensive holding flag. But goodness gracious. I mean, now the league's got tape on Fields doing this. Like, this is the play where obviously Bosa just gets all of Sam Mustipher, like tears straight through him on the run, no less. And Borum and Daniels both give up their edges too. Borum's isn't as bad because he gives up the deep outside edge, and Daniels' guy falls over, but Mustipher gives up instantaneous pressure. And so Fields comes over to here. This is where he puts Warner in the spin cycle. I mean, you could just watch that one on replay. I'm glad he unretired the spin move for all of our Bears story fans that know this is the spin move that was on ice, but he finally used it well as he used it to change direction. And that's a really nice play. Like, picks up a first down too, off of the penalty that adds on to the yards. But we take those 100% of the time. And then the Bears run the ball again, and they get deleted. Again. Yeah, the fumble isn't good, for sure. But that's one of those where I actually forgot he did fumble. So I need to see it again, just to remember it. But Fields has fumbled a bunch. Like, if you take this as another strip sack, or not a strip sack, but another fumble, Fields has now fumbled, I think, 7 times on the season so far. Yeah, that's not good to drop the ball, but maybe, right, John? Maybe there's an element of he dropped it because he knew he was heading out of bounds anyways, but I have no idea. Obviously, nobody's looking to drop the ball. So let's just assume it's a fumble. That's his 7th fumble so far. A lot of fumbles. But so then they run the ball. Borum goes the wrong way. I forgot about this one. This one hurt. Borum had a lot of nice pass pro reps. We've seen a lot of really unremarkable pass pro reps. And here, everybody steps to the right except Larry, who steps directly into James Daniels. And from there, the play is over. Not good. But, I mean, you'd say it happens. He's a rookie, right? So he's going to have some stuff like this happen. But, boom, right there. That's exactly the kind of thing that if Rashad Coward did it, we'd run it, or like somebody would pay for his ticket right out of Chicago. But so, some rookie moments for number 75. I feel like we got to the end of the game and we went, wow, I thought Larry Borum was really good, and forgot about a lot of these runs where he just got cranked. But so, yeah. Let's see. Did Sam Pancake White? Oh, he ends up on top of him. Maybe. Let's see here. Does he get all of them? Looks like Sam Pancakes Daniels. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of these, no kidding, where you can tell Borum knew. I forgot to show you guys his body language, but on a lot of these where I'm picking on him, you can see him just shaking his head and going like, Like, it's not as if Borum doesn't know after the fact. So the game was good experience for him, but yeah, I mean, it was, I didn't realize that Sam pancaked his teammate. That was hilarious, but he did. This one, so red zone plays are hard. They're extra hard when you're the Bears. This one, really nice play by the defender. So I like calling out good defense from the other team because I think we can be pretty zero-sum sometimes and say, oh, that was a terrible play by the Bears because of what happened. But so the Bears are basically just running this. It's like smash, but you convert the corner to or you convert the drag to an out. And so this corner does a really good job sinking for A-Rob and then attacking downhill to get to the running back. Like, what is the word? Yeah. So A-Rob creates his window, but the corner has done a good enough job to force Fields downhill. Fields distributes the ball on time as he should, and his running back, obviously he can't make a miraculous play at that point, but it was good defense. I mean, it's a simple little combination. You're looking to pick up, you're trying to get the ball to A-Rob, and if you can't get it to A-Rob, you want to get the ball to Herbert quickly so that he can try to make a quick play. But exactly like you're saying, Jay, that's where you want Monty, who can make somebody miss, maybe a little bit stronger than Herbert can, but it's a red zone play that you take because you're trying to just get some yards and, hey, maybe a shot to the end zone. Now, this is the hardest play I thought to grade. Like it's one of those where I watch this and what makes me mad is that Kmet gets the stem I want. Like, we're trying to throw this ball to Kmet's outside shoulder, right? We want to get it to like there-ish once he gets to the end of his route. This is what we want, you know? We want all that space to the side of the end zone. And we're going to look at the other angles so that you can see it. But I don't think he dropped it, especially since his arm gets held. You can't really see it. Like, you can kind of see it there. I can't tell because I haven't watched it enough. Like, whether there is, or what's the word? I can't tell whether Kmet was pushing off with his left hand or not, but I think it's just getting flat out held. Either way, this is a route that, from a play calling perspective, I want this a lot. Like, I want this matchup as many times as I can get it because I've got my big-bodied receiver with space on the outside. Justin Fields and Kmet just have to work on their timing. Like, I don't know who to pin it on because I think the throw is fine. Like, the throw is right on the money to that backside edge so that you can catch it. But Kmet obviously has to get both hands around, but he's getting held. Like, I just wanted to talk about this one because I've seen too many tight ends catch it. I've seen too many receivers catch it, like a spinning around catch and so on and so forth. But I do think, or like, let me see, he may, or like, it wouldn't surprise me, factor to your point, if it's too hard, all things told. Like, that is the one thing I found myself thinking, is that it is thrown so hard that the tight end has next to no time to turn around, because your job when you're the tight end is basically spin on his release, right? And so when you see Fields release, that's when you hit the guy with your shoulder, you turn around to try to make a play on it. And it comes in so fast that I think there's a chance that Fields, or that Kmet may have not gotten his hands around. So if I was going to blame anybody, I'd probably split it between them. But I like the placement, all things told. So I don't know. A lot of conversation on this one. Like, it's wild to think that the Bears are in this position where we're going to scrutinize like every single snap. You get the idea. But I like the end zone throw idea. I like the placement. Maybe it's a little too hard, but you get the idea. But we've talked about it enough. And so, yeah. Mike, wait, let me see. Does he? Like, let me take the body language. I'm curious if you can kind of tell. Yeah, I have no idea. But exactly. I mean, look, I don't, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of this stuff where if I told you what I want to see, I want to see that ball caught, or I want to see you get a flag. I mean, Cole, you mentioned something I said on the podcast. You know what I mean? But so that's something that I would look at, and I would say, I hope that changes, because I don't think that needs to be a drop every single time. But there you go. Let's see here. Elon, I didn't realize that you were such a fan of the curl route. You fit right in with Matt Nagy. Let's see. So, from here, let's see. Yeah. Were you looking for it to be Thursday, Elon? So at this stage, I honest to goodness can't remember whether or not this is the long touchdown drive. I don't think it's quite there. But so, yeah, no kidding, Mike. I mean, at this point, Khalil Herbert's just looking for whatever he can get. And the Bears make a couple of nice blocks on this one. Credit to James Daniels and Cody Whitehair. We'll be as quick as we can getting through the later part of this. Like, Whitehair and Daniels do a good job getting to the second level, creating at least a little bit of a lane for Khalil Herbert to punch right on through. But nothing crazy. Was he really, Case? But so from there, we got a basic little sprint out. Nothing wild. Easy completion at this stage. Yeah, you take that to Mooney. You see the corner fall off at that point. Kick the ball out. Go from there. This stage, friends, we're just watching. They're doing enough of these that I don't even have to say anything. You guys have seen this sprint out a ton of times. Let me see. Sometimes I think the quick in and out of the huddle thing, Mike, is hilarious, because sometimes you end up with guys that are just really confused, and other times where obviously it works. So I guess I'm not partial to it. Like I would tell you I don't really care, but that's just where I tend to stand on that. Like, there are some people that really like it, very collegey, right? And then you end up dropping stuff like this sometimes. I mean, goodness gracious. It feels like there nowadays is a dropped snap almost every single time. Like, whether it is a bowled over snap, or in this case, it's just a dropped pitch. Look at this. Looks to me like, oh my gosh. They tried to run crack toss again. See, that's the problem. This is hilarious. Like, crack toss is cursed, except for that one time they ran it right. This is so funny to me. It is every time. Like, somebody made a joke about that at the start of the stream, but really, it's crack toss again, and it doesn't work again. They have whether it's bad luck or whether it is problematic running, they are not good at this play. And yeah, then Herbert got hurt. So just bad all around. From there, Fields tries to do a little bit too much. Can you blame him? He's been doing it all game. Like, let's see here. I think he could have had Mooney. I do. He's got Kmet pushing in like this. Instead thinks, you know what? I've been running the ball all game. I can run it again. He's almost not wrong. Thanks so much. You have no idea. This is awesome. That's so fun. You have no idea how fun that is to hear. Oh my gosh, PG Bears fan. That's so kind of you. Of course. But so going through this, it's interesting. Like, you're going to see this push-pull with rookies all the time, right? He takes a sack doing what's gotten him almost 100 yards to this point. Nice little blitz pickup by the right side of the line. I think he could probably fit this in. It's not like it would make it a crazy gain because it's still 6 yards short, but he instead tries to run it thinking that he can get more and takes a 1 yard sack. So it doesn't hurt the offense, but it doesn't help like the 8 yards does. This balance between trying to take the big chunk with his legs versus potentially just throwing it for a short gain is one that I know he's going to have to walk. It doesn't help when you're running like all slants paired with mostly just curls. So like curl, Ryan Nall, ever dangerous Ryan Nall, running a curl right there with a slant that seems like it's a slant. Stop, for crying out loud. It's just curls. So many curls. But they definitely didn't want to throw deep. I don't really know why. Maybe they thought they wouldn't get much time. Maybe they thought they could just be methodical and work the way down the field. But here he takes the here Fields tries to rip that chunk off, like we mentioned, and exactly, Case, right? You gotta know exactly what you got in him, and then Fields just misses this throw. Like, Exactly, right, Grant? Every time you think it's a curl, or every time you think it's a slant, it turns out it's a curl secretly. And if it's a go route, they probably curl just 30 yards downfield. He misses this one. This one is not good. Like, we don't have to pretend it is. Fields he fields or what is it? He seems like he feels a little bit of pressure, slides a little bit. So better than back in the day when he was just stone statue, just standing. But misses the throw, which is not ideal. But he's a rookie. Like, this is exactly why if you were going to give Fields a grade, it's probably a B. The good and the bad mesh together for that. But for a rookie, it's a B plus, A minus, maybe even an A. But hey, that's how it goes. Elon, did you say you were leaving? Good night. Have a good one. But so now let's get to the final piece before just a hint of defense. Like, we all care about Justin Fields. I care about Justin Fields. So in a stream where we're going to midnight, yes, we're going to talk about the offense. Doesn't help that I love offense in general. This was a funny one, by the way. So Fields takes another sack here, but I remember seeing this one live and realizing what happened. In this play specifically, Fields just needs to be a smidge more patient. Like, exactly what we talked about earlier, right? Where Fields sees the pressure and knows he needs to get out against Nick Bosa, punishes him here. He's taking feedback. He's clearly learning the limits, because on that play, maybe you could see it, right? But he's going to get Mooney on an out route that looks like that. I think he takes like an outside to in release with A-Rob coming the other way right here. But so Fields fakes the handoff, comes back, and I think he's got just enough time with his corner bailing that way, his hips facing the wrong way. So momentum that way, hips wrong direction. Mooney running the out route has got him cooked, like 100%. Now, that doesn't mean that Fields trying to get out is a problem, because he's obviously taking direct pressure from Borum's guy, but like A-Rob gets clamped 100%, but like he's also running a curl with Warner underneath him. Mooney's open if the throw is out, but now that it's not out, there's just nobody on the play. So Fields breaks a tackle, takes what he can, which is nothing. But this was definitely one of those that I looked at, and it's like, you're going to see this sometimes where that timer inside of his head of, okay, I got to hang in and throw this ball versus, no, I got to get out so that I can make the most of what I have. As a rookie, it's just going to take practice. Like, Derek Carr tends to always pick the wrong thing, so it is possible that it never develops, but Fields is already making so much progress that I tend to think he'll be fine. Maybe, is he a superstar yet? Let's not go there. But he's getting better as a rookie. That's the key here. Development. Borum ends up 1-on-1 on 91 and loses the battle. So, really, it's his feet. It's Borum's feet that he just needs to get more comfortable at whatever tackle position that he's in, because he tends to get caught leaning a little too far over for my taste instead of being able to shuffle. Instead of being able to move consistently laterally, it's like he plants his feet and pushes, so then he ends up with his weight caught way over the top of him. You see this in the run game a lot, but you obviously saw it there. And so this is cool. And Donald, thanks so much. That's awesome. Like, I love that. You have no idea how cool that is. But so, John, I would tell you Fields is developing as fast as I hoped, maybe a little faster than I thought. Now, to be totally fair, he also played the 29th worst pressure-generating offensive or defensive football. So let's see how he looks against Pittsburgh. But if anything, if I could be really blunt with you, I'm just excited to see that Fields delivered us a good performance against a team that wasn't named the Detroit Lions, because I think that's important. Like, the Lions are obviously an unhealthy enough organization that it feels like anybody can have a good game against them. I mean, certainly the Bears have just dominated the Lions throughout their time, even when David Blau went off on us. So Justin Fields on Thanksgiving, I'm not saying book it, but it would be very normal to just beat the tar out of the Lions, because that's what teams do. at this point. To see him do this against the Niners, which is the 13th ranked pass defense, if memory serves, maybe the 13th ranked defense overall, that's an accomplishment. That's tough. Basic curl, throw under pressure, 3-step drop. These things are getting better. Like, this was where he struggled mightily against Cleveland and a lot against not Tampa Bay, but he struggled more against this in the games after Detroit. But just basic 1-step, gathers, throws on time. Good when fumbles, Bears get on it, we take it. Like, the footwork is nice. Just takes 1-step drop, plants the foot, fires. Yes. But so, yes factor. If we beat the Steelers and the Ravens, we do make the playoffs. That's a big if, but I definitely don't mind that Fields has the playoffs kind of dangled in front of him at this point. Here's that nasty juke. Ooh, this is fun. Ooh, this is nice. But so let's Marshall, are you kidding? Have you been watching for 2 hours and you hadn't had the resolution up? But yeah, exactly, Bryson. Like, you can see Fields is getting the ball out faster. Like, at least to me. But so you can see him getting in and out of the huddle. I love the fact, by the way, I can't tell if they legislate when Fields is allowed to pull the ball, right? Because we've seen a couple of these situations where I think he could have taken the ball, but so, and he tends not to. But on this play, they obviously gave him the green light. And yeah, granted did. The TV copy bit hard on this, thinking it was 100% null, and not to toot my own horn, but I was like, no, look at Fields running. He's clearly got it, because the quarterbacks tend to like take 2 steps and trot if they don't have the ball, but Fields just bolted. And so you end up where Fields rips it out, bails, smokes the corner right there, and just cleans up a nice little 13-yard gain. Gorgeous. Like, let's see. Pulls it. Juke. Love watching him. Like, this stuff's fun. This is the stuff where you're like, okay, if we can get if Fields can become a full-fledged veteran quarterback with this kind of athleticism, he really could shoot for a Russell Wilson-esque career. I mean, remember, Russ started his career not being an electric thrower, and so he ended up growing into the role over 10 years, for crying out loud. But Russ didn't start as just throw. I got you, Marshall. For some reason, I thought you were in for a while, but yeah, you got to make sure you have the quality up enough to see. So this day, yeah, Fields throws a nice little curl route there. You can clearly see his anticipation's getting better, by the way, because he releases this ball right there as Mooney's like getting into his break, so that's speeding up. Like, ball comes out, makes it easy on the offensive line, and obviously you get a sweet completion downfield for like 30 yard or to the 30. We'll take a watch on Borum right here as he gets a nice chip from Jesse James. Overall, I think there are a lot of people that are overestimating. As we watch the game again, I feel confident enough to say, oof, I don't know if I can, but at this stage, I would probably tell you with a straight face that I don't think Borum played exceptional, but for a 5th-round rookie, solid. Like, for somebody with zero expectations, yes, but he's got a lot to grow on, and we need to see it. This wasn't a good throw either, by the way. Let's take a look at whether a defender got into the mix. Play action. Now, this is just a straight fan. Like, this is a guff. This is a biff. This is one of those where you look at the open receiver right there, like, you've got the in, and he throws it way too high. But so that's one where I actually would tell you, I think, well, Fields is lucky. Obviously, he didn't get tipped and picked. I don't know whether it would have gotten picked if it had just kept going, because I think it might have just gone through everybody. Yeah, it probably would have. That's not that dangerous to throw, except for that it does get picked, but you file it under Fields leaving the ball a little too high, and you don't get super excited about it. But again, 29 out of 31 throws, relatively on target, is solid, especially starting out as a rookie. But you take what you can get and you go from there, right? So here we're setting up for the big 4th and 1. Here it comes, right? And so Herbert gets downhill. Not a ton of help there. But so let's see. Now it's 3rd down. This is a really solid little throw. Basic. I think the Bears actually faked their pick play on this one. Like, interestingly enough, censored. If he'd caught that pass, that would have been incredible. But so here the Bears seem like they're trying to act like they're going to come from it, you know? Like they're going to go for their usual pick. I'm not sure they do. But so they just run Allen Robinson on an out route, and Fields takes it to him. He has to actually wait for A-Rob to get out of this one. This one you don't dock him for anticipation, because he's basically like, A-Rob's got an option route, so he can go a lot of different directions here. But as soon as he sees him get out of that route, he sticks the ball right into the only pocket it can go, and Robinson can't quite pick up the yards, but almost. But yeah, that is a very, very tight little window. And the option route stuff is tough, because you have to know where it, like, you have to know which plays might be there. And that's a good question, Mike. The trouble with a lot of these hole shot questions, like, is the hole shot open? I don't know, because it looks, first of all, like this safety's rotating over to take it away, but also by the time Fields throws it, we completely lose sight of where this corner is going to actually end up, because he sees the ball and goes to play the ball. So you end up with a really, really tight window for Fields to fit the ball into, but he fits it there nice and easily, sets up for 4th and 1, and you know what's coming. We already talked about it at the top of the show. You could see it again there. But the gist is, on the 4th and 1, the magical play that Fields just made away on, it's a pass. So it's a rollout passing play with, I don't remember where anybody goes, truth be told. Like, I think they run sail. So that's Jesse James doing that, and Cole Kmet doing that. And Cole's actually wide open, like absolutely wide open. But he clearly, what is it? Yeah. Oh, I will give you the end zone clear shot case. But so Fields obviously ends up with 0 time, less than 0 time. He's got a defender on him instantly, right? And so he makes a play, gets on out of it, breaks like 3 tackles. Mooney does a good job getting over it. Who's that? Kmet gets downhill and gets in the way? No, that's Jesse James, 18. It's beautiful. Like, these are the kinds of plays that are just special, right? You can't make these up. This is just, where there's a will, there's a way. I don't know. It's just, there's some players, and this is going to sound weird, but one of them's Tebow, that just have this almost magical ability to make something happen. And in this game, it felt like all game long, Fields was able to just make stuff happen where you shouldn't have been able to, right? Like, there was no way that somebody should have made this play, but there he is trotting into the end zone, and you got to feel for number 91, who's just sitting there afterwards like, you got to be kidding me. He's still going. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised at all that Kyle Shanahan was wowed by this. If anything, you got to envision, censored, that Kyle Shanahan and Mike Lynch may have been like, dang it, oh shoot, should we have drafted that guy? But, neither here nor there. But so, yeah, what makes this one funny, to me at least, if there had been any protection, like a backside blocker, it's probably Fields' 4th touchdown of his rookie career, but it isn't. Peters lays the lumber on Fred Warner, who he just sees coming right here. Here we go. And kaboom. He gives him something to take home. But yeah, that was tough. He took it hard. Warner right there, 54. Credit to Warner. He's going to get all the way across and maybe make the play. Like, there's a real argument to be made that Peters is the block that springs it, right? Or at least springs the touchdown. I think there's a good chance that Fields would get, no, I don't know. Warner, well, that's why you have blockers, right? Boom. And so Fields runs the lane really well. Fields just looked great. He had 103 yards. It's hard to do that on accident. But so, yeah. Fields just tanked a big one. He looks like Mike Vick Marshall. He looks like Warner got hit by a compact car. That makes much more sense. But yeah, I do think so, Bryson. It is a little hilarious how the Niners brought a little extra out of Fields. You got to wonder if it's in there. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, after an MVP, right? On his way to a Super Bowl, if memory serves, counted to 10 against the Bears. These guys know, like you gotta think this was in Fields' mind, that he wanted to play well against the team that had picked number 3 and picked somebody else. But I don't want to make that more dramatic than it is. You get the idea. There's really only one more drive we have to talk about, if at all. Then we'll talk about some defensive generalities. You can go back through and you can watch the defense again. I'll tell you right now, it was nasty. Like, it wasn't good. And it's just, like, we could go through it and you would just sit there and groan. Adamola, we're not doing near as much whisper this time. Like, we will go a little bit on defense, and then it's my birthday. I'm going to head out and get some decent sleep this time. But just for you, Case, we will, but later. The big one that I wanted to talk about, Fields takes... Ooh, that one was nasty. He takes a big shot right there on a play where, Allen Robinson ends up open, but like, not even really. Like, Warner just played a great game. He was all over the place. Like, I'm just going to call it out because I feel like I have to. I wish 58 was as present as 54 was in the game plan. Like, this was, and thanks so much. Thank you so much for saying that. That's so kind of you. But so, BB Cheeks, like 54, Fred Warner was everywhere. Tipped 2 passes, like running back and forth, making plays in the run game. He looked good. and I wish, I really do wish Roquan was a little more visible. Like, maybe part of it's scheme, but that feels weird to say about Desai's scheme that's just been so strong throughout the rest of the year so far. And I'm not trying to be a Roquan slanderer. You guys know that. But Fred Warner is the modern linebacker. People keep looking at Roquan. They're like, that's the modern linebacker. I'm like, no, the modern linebacker's a little bigger and he's just as fast. Like, again, that's not to go after the guy, but like, the Bobby Wagners, the Eric Kendrickses, the Fred Warners. There are a lot of linebackers that can play better in the run than I think Roquan does, but I'm not trying to take away from Roquan. I think he's just a little more niche than some people want to think he is among Bears Twitter, because he's an incredible coverage linebacker, like extraordinary coverage linebacker, but he struggles in the run game, like especially when he's blocked at all, which... to say, oh, well, he's good when he's not blocked is, I don't know. Yeah, he would be really great in the Tampa too. That's a good little thought. By the way, I think this is more open. I didn't see this the first time, but Cole Kmet gets himself open in this. Like, credit to him. He ends up going over the top of what probably would have been a neat little hole shot that I don't think Justin sees. I'm curious as to what Justin thought he did see. Maybe he wanted to get the ball to Allen Robinson, who he thought he could catch he thought he could catch Fred Warner flat-footed. But Cole turns around right here and if that ball gets driven, I think he could complete it, but we're nitpicking a little bit, and Fields takes a shot to the face. Like, this was a good call, if anything. Because I didn't notice it, that's for sure. But he releases the ball, and then he just gets smoked right there by the guy's head. Sucks for him. And actually, now that I think about it, there's a chance that Fields sold this. Because, like, okay, let's see. Does Fields kind of step into it to you guys? What do you think? I've seen Fields sell enough calls that he very well could have sold a roughing the passer there. We'll take one more look at it. You guys can tell me what you think. But so... right here, Fields throws it, steps in, and then pops and just flails backwards. You guys tell me. But so, then goodness gracious, this run just gets smushed. I mean, the Bears' second half running game was just bad. Ooh, is that 65? Let me see. Is this Whitehair that gets... Holy smokes, he just trips. Like, Whitehair just... He puts a foot wrong. It just falls right down. No, he gets his legs tangled up with Mustafa, as usual. And yeah, Vader, I know. Like, I know I'm coming after... What's it? The football... Yeah, the football acting. Right? Exactly. But so... I know I'm coming after Smith hard. The problem is that I've seen a lot of people saying Roquan's going to be looking for a $20 million deal, and I want to see that $20 million player. Like, the trouble is, if you told me right now, hey, Robert, hey, Robert, calm down. Roquan's going to get $10 million a year for 4 years. What do you think? Heck yeah. You need coverage linebackers in today's game. Not to mention, space eaters are a thing. The trouble is when you say, no, he's going to get paid more than a safety. He's going to get paid more than a corner. He's going to get paid more than a wide receiver. He's going to get paid $20 million a year. That I go, whoa, wait, he's going to get paid what? And so that's what I'm trying to balance, is the market value of it. Roquan's an objectively good player. Like, that's not a question. But the question is whether he is a great player. And it's also my bias, like, to be totally honest with you. There's an aspect of it that's just, I like players that are able to play the run and also get out there. But who knows? This was a shot that, looking back, I thought at the time it was easier and that maybe Fields could have spaced the ball out. And don't get me wrong, maybe he could have. But this is, is that John? Warner did get paid $20 million a year, didn't he? But I know what you mean. Like, this was a seam throw that I think it either just got a little high. I mean, look, the composite completion percentage on deep throws like that is like 50%. So they're not exactly high percentage. They're big if you hit them. But on second down here, it would be neat to see Fields pad his stats and get the ball downfield, especially since this is the response drive to the response drive. Like, memory serves, the 49ers scored, the Bears responded, the Niners responded, and this is the next response. So it's third down. It's like 3rd and 10 directly. Fields takes a sack, and honestly, the touchdown after this one, the game ends. This one, you know, we've talked a lot about what Fields could have done on all sorts of sacks. I wouldn't put this one on him. The pressure comes in such a hurry that maybe he sees that, but his check down's over there. So he would have to, like, sit back and throw it, and that's just not reasonable. Maybe he gets out of the pocket and lets go of it, but he's not even out of the pocket when he starts getting hit like this. This is what it looks like. Whitehair and Peters just botched a stunt. And so just take a look at 65 and 71. Neither of them get their guy. Like, what is it? Herbert there whiffs on a chip attempt, which, you know, not great. But so the key is that the Niners are going to run a stunt and both guys get through, which is not ideal. Like, 56 gets straight through the line, 98 comes straight around the other way, and Fields is getting double pressured. There's nowhere to go at this point. And so he takes a sack that I would 100% pin on those two. Like, I don't have to think too hard about that one. But it's just my 2 cents. We've seen some ups. We've seen some downs. And then the Mooney one. So, do I think Mooney could catch it? Yes. Who cares? Yes. Like, it's this throw right here where ball sails a little bit. I feel like Mooney didn't have to stop running at this point. But it's all nitpicking, to be so honest. Like, it's all nitpicking. At this, they're down 2 scores. I don't know why Mooney stops at this point if the ball's going to go over his head, but he does. He gets up. He doesn't get it, and so on and so forth. But so, Mike, thank you so much. Honestly, you're awesome. Like, I know you are partial to watching every play. That's why we end up doing it a lot, and that's why they go so late so often. Case, we're going to 12:15, and that's it. But so we can do 30 minutes of defense. It's not that hard to do 30 minutes. And we're just going to rip through some of them. Mike, you have no idea, by the way, how kind that is. Thank you. Thank you so much. 27, never felt better, right? But so that's the whole Fields' game. I think he did a lot of things right. I think he did so many things so well that the little improvement on things like anticipation throws, things like quick trigger, stay or go, those are really fun. Like, yes, the touchdowns are awesome. Yes, the accuracy is awesome. But that is where I would look and say, that is where I would look at Fields' development and say, this is really coming along. Now, he's got to keep finding his footing. It'll take longer. Like, it's not as if his yardage totals are only going to go up. This is going to be a roller coaster. We're going to go up. We're going to go down. We're going to go up. We're going to go down. But hopefully, just cross your fingers, right? Aaron Rodgers has COVID, so he comes back. Maybe he comes back a little looser than he wants to be because COVID is hard on the body, and he's not vaccinated. So having had it, like, it's gonna be tough on him. And then maybe he even gets maybe even gets a 2-game suspension for violating some kind of policy. I don't know why I'm not sure why the league would. Maybe they would, but at that point, you would end up with Rodgers coming into the game in Lambeau cold, and it would be fun to beat the Packers, but who knows. Overall grade for Fields' game, I would tell you on the rookie scale, it's an A-. Too many imperfections when we watched it again, maybe even a B+. But like, I'm thinking about where Fields was, so what did I expect from him on this Bears team within this Bears offense? I think he made too many plays not to get an A. The more I stew on it, like, I would give him an A-. Too many plays that shouldn't have happened. That spin move on 3rd and 8, the 4th and 1 double tackle break, the Jesse James throw was bananas, like, into the end zone. There's just too many plays that we could point to and say that was really good, and not near as many plays that I would say, ooh, that's a rookie moment, as I would have expected. Now, it wasn't perfect, so even on the rookie scale, I don't know if he gets a full A, but just a little too many mistakes. There's a little too many mistakes for the full A or the A+, but too many wonderful plays for a B+. I would land on A-. Real quarterback scale, probably a B, if not a B-. Like, he had a couple throws that were like a little too close to turnover worthy, but he still made those great plays. I mean, 275 combined yards and 2 touchdowns while the game was in reach is not bad. It's not incredible, though. Like, when you want that A on the real rookie or quarterback scale, you're looking for like a Brady performance. You know what I mean? But you get the sense, right? That's where I'm at with Fields. Great development. Like, seriously awesome game. I think it absolutely qualifies as a breakout game, by the way. But it's not like we don't plan the parade yet. We just go, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And that's what's important. So to go through the defense was doing a lot better when Eddie Jackson was in the game, which can't surprise anybody, right? And he left, if memory serves, right there. I can't believe I pulled right up to it. This was beyond my own ability. That one-on-one coverage, Jackson gives a tight window for Garoppolo. They clearly wanted to give that throw away, by the way. They wanted to say, Eddie, Jimmy, if you can hit this throw, you can have this throw. They just didn't think he could. But Jackson, right there, we hope it's a pull. I don't know what it is. Like, this is one of those where I look at and I say, oh gosh. I hope that's not long. But yeah, was he out on the second play? Yeah, exactly. And immediately they give it up too. So first play he's out, instantly Kindle Vildor just gives up a big completion to, is it Debo? I think it was Debo, but he gives this away nice and easy. Gosh, Brandon, do you really want to watch the defense? Like, you could take him through the defense, kick up your stream, because this was rough. Like, watching this game was like watching a professional chef teach an 8th grader how to make something. Oh, it is Sanu. Yes, I think it is. No, Brandon, I'm not saying how dare you to defense. I'm saying they got I felt like they got beat. They got beat on. And yeah, the it was fine in the first half. I feel like Jimmy made a lot of mistakes in the first half, but they clearly put their heads back on in the second half and just torched the Bears. I mean, there was so much of this stuff that just watching it, what you're really going to see that matters is that Eddie Jackson, we've talked about this on innumerable streams, right? But the big loss is that you end up with Teez Tabor playing a clear center field role that makes it to where the 49ers can pretty much just take a look at what Teez was doing on any given play or Gibson and say, and of course that isn't Teez, that's Houston Carson. But the Bears just got a lot more declarative on what they were doing on defense. And so they lined up basically saying, here's our defense. What are you going to do about it? And the 49ers had a lot of answers. Not just cover one, because you mentioned cover one, Brandon. Absolutely. Cover one, cover three, cover two that was clear. They popped us. You know what? If we're short on time, let's just skip to it. We can get there. So let's see. Bears. Bears had so many sustained drives, by the way, in this. A lot of offensive plays to go through. Not just a 3-and-out session, which was funny because I've gotten used to those. But so I think this one is the play. If memory serves, it's not this one, right? But we're getting to the 3rd and 20, and because we have to, right? Tell me the plays that you absolutely have to see. By the way, since we're relatively short on time, go ahead and comment if you're near your phone or near your computer, the comments that you want to see. Let me see the DHC breakup. Oh man, I'd have to remember where that is. But so the one. Oh, you mean the one where Debo dropped it? That one? But yeah, that's what you're talking about, right? The breakup where he dropped it. Yeah, anyways. So Shelley goes absolutely flying by. But so Shelley had a pretty rough game overall. Let's see. Shelley attacks downhill, but Ogletree doesn't. So you end up with both guys kind of creating a frozen lane, but no human can step into that as hard as he tries. But so that happened. Let me see. Is this the 30-yard screen? Let's see. Yeah, no kidding, Case. I mean, the trouble is that you ended up with a whole bunch of people watching this game saying DHC is just as good as Eddie Jackson, and he's not. DHC's a good little player. I mean, I think he's got good instincts overall. In this case, look at Gibson making a nice little break. All it took was Eddie ending up out for him to do that. That's really solid. And here we go, by the way. Here's the screen. And you want to hear what sucks about this 3rd and 20? I want you to notice something as we set this up, by the way. I want you to watch how far downfield the linemen get on this screen. This is incredible. We're going to talk about what went wrong here, but the first thing I want you to notice is just how beautifully the Niners blocked this screen up. It is really something. So they get the ball out there, and you're going to see this tight end washes Shelley down. This receiver keeps Jalen out of the play. This lineman soaks up Ogletree, and that's just the start. Okay, so now Debo's got a hole, right? Because everybody went one-on-one. Well, the left guard has gotten downhill to stop Gibson. The center is on his way to deal with Teez Tabor. The wide receiver right over here, one-on-one, keeps Jalen out of it. The left guard is keeping DHC on the back end right there. As again, the center takes Teez Tabor out of the play. So then Deebo Samuel is just in a wide open space because the Niners just blocked it beautifully. Goodness gracious. We have to start there purely because it's amazing. This is so good watching him get all the way down there, him get to there, and then, I mean, the rest is practically history. And yeah, Case, this is what a $50 million offensive line looks like. I would love one, you know? But so anyways, what went wrong? Because obviously 3rd and 20, even if you just block everything up, but let me see. The real difference between this and the screen 2 plays ago was right. I mean, I hear you. That's true. And yeah, DHC just like ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. But so one thing that is kind of interesting, if nothing else. So let's remember it's 3rd and 20. This is where situational, oh man, wrong play. So let's get to there. It's 3rd and 20. That means the line to gain is way over there. And so really, if there's a problem, it's that these two, Ogletree and Shelley, act like it's 3rd and 2 on 3rd and 20. I'm taking the words right out of Brandon's mouth here. He's the one who had this idea. But it is wild when you think about it, how hard these two go at this screen. Like every single yard matters. Like they trigger immediately down, and they get, I wouldn't say they get like pulled way out of their lane per se, but they definitely create a ton of space. But so, yeah, I mean, prior to this, I feel like the Bears kind of had their mojo, but this one took all the wind out of their sails. They would have to they would definitely have to figure this out. Exactly. Situational down and distance, so on and so forth. Like they've got to be smarter about how they manage their space, because as they go through this, what they could have done, just to pick on them a little bit, is you could have seen both of them just give a little bit more ground and create sort of a, okay, where are you going to go, pal, setup with that gives everybody time to come over. But instead they attack straight downhill. And by the way, Roquan is just chilling. I mean, who cares really? Like seriously, it's DHC that shows all the effort in the world to track this down and make it not a touchdown. But immediately, like, yeah, it is hard to watch. I mean, censored. This was like teach tape stuff. Like they did a great job, especially as the game progressed, just nailing blocks. It's a long play too, like both in yards and in time. And then, is this the one where Jimmy botches it? No. Robert Quinn made some plays while he was at it, but this backs the Bears up. And then I think it's Garoppolo who takes a botched play. This is 100% supposed to be a jet sweep. At least I'm almost certain. This is supposed to be a jet sweep. But Debo gets caught there, and Jimmy G says, you know what, I'll take the stats, and just plows it in. I mean, the Bears did not have a good game on the edge, especially after all that. You want me to say I goofed it? Is that what you're looking for? Or Debo goofed it up? Yeah. Roquan goes to take on the blocker, loses, and so ends up wiped out of his space. And because of that, he goes right in. And the only reason I mention that is because if this wasn't Quan, if this was Eddie, people would say he sucks. He should hit this. Roquan gets pushed way out of his gap at this stage. And I would like a linebacker to hold that a little better. But that's just me. And if I could be honest, I'm really hard on linebackers. Because if they can't cover, they suck. And if they can't block in the run, they suck. So I know I'm creating an impossible standard for the most part. But it was a bummer seeing what happened throughout the game. So then Fields goes on. Is it this one? No, this is where the Bears punt. And then they really start taking losses. Like, if you thought it was rough the first time, it gets worse. I hated this play because Jimmy G gets tons of time against, like, or what's the word? Let's see. Ace, everything okay? Hope so. But so here on this play action, it bums me out how much time he has to get open and how open he gets. You end up with just two guys sitting around him, but Trevathan can't cover him. The throw's good enough. But like, the pass rush didn't get home. 49ers use run action, play action really well. Like, this is that stuff we all love, right? Where the run action keeps it such that Mario and the rest of the Bears defensive line don't really get around or like get down there. But yeah, the pass rush Grant struggled, to say the least, and the game against run was not any better. Oh man, Ace, that sucks. I unfortunately know what that looks like, and that is no fun. But hopefully you're out of it. But we're gonna close up here fairly soon. We'll just go through. Yeah, Deebo's body control is insane. Like, to not give some credit to Deebo Samuel and the 49ers offense would be ridiculous. But man, they were just all over it. And this is where the Bears really got hurt. Like, there's a couple plays we could go through, but for instance, here you're going to see Trevathan ISO'd up against definitely not George Kittle, George Kittle's second stringer, as he just goes stick and out. Like, you know, we talk about route running and so on and so forth, but like, somebody find the tight end's name. Like, this is a really nice route, all things told. So you don't have to look in the second round to find a tight end that can run stick. But yeah, they just went after Trevathan. And when they didn't go after Trevathan, they went after Shelley. And when they didn't go after Shelley, they didn't. Is it Jordan Reed? If it is Jordan Reed, then there you go. Because Jordan Reed is a really good route runner. But I didn't catch who it was. Somebody give me the name. Ooh, who's that? 89? Let's see here. Now I gotta know. Let's see. It is Charlie Warner. Stud. Charlie Warner. But so, yeah, from there, they just keep rolling. They went after wherever Danny was. Like, if Danny was on the field, they went after Danny. If Shelley was on the field, they went after Shelley. Whenever they felt like it, they went after Vildor. Like, Vildor has been good in the sense that he hasn't gotten targeted. But, I mean, they just got teethed. The one of the biggest, or one of the toughest things, and this is where I would tell you that I think Eddie makes the difference. Like, where you want to know Eddie, like, what does he do? Eddie helps you not play straight up cover 1, cover 3, where the Bears lined up looking like they were very obviously going to drop into something with a cover 1 set, which meant you could pretty much just pick out Trevathan to open the snap and say to yourself, you know what, let's just throw it that way. And they did. They did that a lot. Thanks so much, Ace. Right? Like, the trouble here is that if you envision, I'm trying to think of like a decent corollary. Okay, so you know how football is described as a chess match all the time? Like, that it's constantly described, I don't know, let's say Hicks is a rook. Like, I can't draw the pieces, but so if Hicks is a rook and Jalen Johnson is a knight and DeAndre Houston Carson is a bishop and Robert Quinn is, I wouldn't say he's the queen, but like he's probably a rook too, and so on and so forth. You're going through chess pieces, right? What makes Eddie special is, okay, this isn't fair. This doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to start over. If your defensive ends are rooks and your corners are a different chess piece, whatever it is, your safety, a really good coverage disguising safety, might as well be the queen. They can be anywhere. Eddie can line up here and drop to there. He can line up here and end up there, or there, or there. He could be all over the place. Like, it's not to say DHC can't do that. It's to say that you can trust Eddie to drop off the line of scrimmage and cover a crosser over the middle, and Eddie will just see it and wrap up and take it away. That's what he does. So without him, you end up with a defense that's more obvious. Jimmy G and the rest of the Jimmy G and the rest of the 49ers can take a look pre-snap and say, okay, looks like they're running a too high, or probably a rotational setup, but if they stick to too high, we'll just do something else. But exactly, like the problem is that where DHC gets beat is it's not just a route rep, it's also about like DHC's a high effort player. I think DHC's instincts are really, really nice, you know? But so like, cause watch here, 36, like DeAndre Houston Carson gets right downhill and ends up making this tackle, which continues the trend of the dadgum center field safety having to make half the run tackles, but that's neither here nor there. But so, we don't talk about that. But so the key on what matters is Brandon already took the words out of my mouth. So why DHC and not Eddie Jackson? Well, the trouble is that you can trust Eddie Jackson in man, and against some of the best receivers in man coverage, like DeAndre Houston Carson is not going to do what you need him to do. Like, I would love DeAndre Houston Carson to start over Gibson as like the boundary safety, for instance, because I don't know why Gibson plays. Like, I'm just so low on Gibson at this point that you can't convince me that he's like he's helpful, basically. But you're going to, for instance, here's DHC and man. This is an unfortunate but good example. What is the difference between Houston Carson and Eddie? This. Goodbye. Easy. Like, I mean, goodness gracious. This is the kind of play where it's not even being down on Houston Carson. Houston Carson's got great zone instincts. He's just not that great a man cover guy. And Eddie can do both. He really can. Like, Eddie will shut down a tight end. If you don't remember, go back and watch through the Lions game. When the Bears got into the red zone, it was Eddie on TJ Hawkinson because that was who they had. They didn't put Jalen on him. They put Eddie on him. And Eddie would struggle here. This is Deebo Samuel running a slant inside, 100%. I know I'm cooking him kind of unfairly, but Eddie Jackson is who they put on a lot of these danger receivers. And so they tried to do the same with Houston Carson because that's sort of what they do. And goodness gracious, Cosmo, what are you doing? This is my goofy cat. Are you looking at him? No. But yeah, he gets beat. And then what is it? We were looking at this one where Hicks gets the hit, just gets no help as he just gets plowed backwards. Yeah, that hurt. Oh, it was Ayuk? Oof. Not good on my part, but yeah, rough. But so, because it's my birthday, we're going to hope that we don't have to talk about this again. Oh, gosh. What am I looking for on Quan? Did he do something good? Let's see. Is it this one? Where he just... Oh, man. Yeah, he just gets erased. Quan against offensive lineman. It's not what you want. It's not ever been what you wanted. When you drafted him, you didn't draft him to take on San Francisco's offensive line, to be fair. But, yeah, it is. But so we got 5 more minutes. I'll put this last drive back on as we wrap up, and then we'll get out of here. Because Justin Fields scores the big touchdown. The Bears defense had a chance to make a play right here, and they did not do that. I don't know if I can specifically find that one. Oh man, this one hurt. So wide open. You could just watch some of this stuff, and it's wild because even the cover 2 shots, I don't know what Gibson's backing up for. I guess I get it, but man. They tried to have DHC rob down on, I don't know who that is, that specific wide receiver, but no, I mean, Grant, you caught a break, unfortunately. But so They tried to have DHC do some of the Eddie stuff where they would take away an obvious like robber right here. Let's see. But so he bites down to take this away, and so they take the backside dig, and Gibson is so far off. Like, oof. I don't like it. I don't like it. This is why, if I could clone DHC, obviously I would love to keep him. But so, yeah, this was tough. But censored, that's a good question. Truth be told, like, I'm going to say something heartless. I think that the Bears without Mac isn't the same as the Bears without Eddie, and it's entirely a depth question. Like, the trouble is that I would say Eddie and DHC are their only two safeties with, like, true instincts, and when you lose Eddie, all you've got is DHC, who's good with his instincts, but that's it. And so, like, I'm not trying to come after DHC. I think he's a good dime backer, but he's a role player. This is like asking your seventh man off the bench to play starter minutes. You know what I mean? Like, that's not good. And so the defense without Eddie hurt. And a lot of the anti-Eddie people were not happy. But, I mean, even Jordan came in saying, okay, I see it. The defense without Eddie isn't the same. And, yeah. Like, that's the case. This one, by the way, this play hurt my soul. Like, Mike, I hear you 100% about Roquan. This one really hurt me because Roquan, not this specific play. Sorry, I picked up the wrong one. But it made me sad watching this specific tackle. And I sent off a tweet I'm not happy with where I wouldn't say I got, like, really mad, but, like, you watch Roquan on this one. This is where he gets, oh no, I have the wrong play in mind. There's a play later in the game where he runs and kind of just misses. Oh my gosh. If I could change, no kidding, AGM, that's cool. That's awesome. If I could change, if I could pick or replace Amos with, or Gibson with Amos, I would replace Gibson with Amos. Like, 100%. I would live with Vildor at corner if I could have two good safeties. Like, I think two good safeties allows a really, really savvy cover person to just move people around. You can basically play a shell game. Like, you can switch from this coverage into that coverage. You can help this guy here and there. You can bait throws into where you want them to go and potentially rob it with the safety. And all you got to do is win one, right? You win one of those gambles, and you end up with a pick. And now the offense is thinking about what they're going to do. These kinds of plays, if memory... So Roquan makes that one. Like, not bad. Even on not a good day. Like, it's not as if Roquan Smith was just some terrible player who doesn't belong on the field or something like that. That is never my goal. Like, Roquan's lateral ability and so on and so forth is awesome. His coverage ability is awesome. And I just wish he was surrounded with enough talent to make it as good as it should, or as good as he should be, but am worried that that Roquan would end up getting paid so much you'll never get those guys. Like, that's the trouble. That's where I'm at with Roquan. That hurt. No kidding. Like, these toss plays are nasty. Like, go back to this. Watch Roquan Smith just booking it. Like, even stops there and just ends up closing the hole. Who cares? But so the trouble with Roquan for me is I feel like an assist player doesn't need to get, I don't know. Why is Eddie Jackson making $15 million, but Roquan Smith should make 20? That's where I struggle. Like 10, 12, even 15. Like, okay, that's a conversation. But once you get into the 17, 18 region, like, oof, that hurts. But that's because the salary cap can sometimes pollute what is a good football player, right? Where you take a look at somebody like Roquan Smith and you have to peg his value. And that's hard because maybe his value's more than that. Maybe his value's less than that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part about the salary cap that sucks. Like, Mac is now a $30 million player, which is two Eddie Jacksons. What? Who is going to be two Eddie Jacksons? Eddie Jackson's already a good player. Like, the salary cap ruins Khalil Mack in that case. But so, like, that's where it gets tough. Like, it's just cap management, basically. But, oof. Yeah, you had a lot of hands in the air on these kinds of plays. To credit the Niners, they did a ton of this exact kind of, like, basically they would just try to bottle up all the rushes that they could. And credit to Hicks. Hicks really tried. Like, Hicks tried to make every play that he possibly could. And here, JG just pulls it and gets out of there. Like, credit to the, or what is it? Like, maybe he is ace. But the question is, so, okay, here's the argument. And then we'll get out of here. Roquan Smith is Ryan Pace's first and only successful first-round pick. He's also a top 10 pick. So while that is correct, that maybe he's undervalued, he's also got the Bears right where he wants them. And there's almost no way Pace won't extend him, because why would you let him walk? Like, that's your legacy. You're letting him walk out the door. And so if I had to guess, if Pace has still got the keys, then he'll probably end up with the okay, come on, Brandon. He didn't extend like Leonard Floyd. But so yeah, I mean, this game was tough to watch. The what is it? The Niners just kicked the Bears in the teeth in the back half. They took them to task. They attacked wherever they wanted to, whenever they wanted to. They even did so in the let me see. Did we already watch this one? Maybe. There's one play in particular that I have in mind. Is it? It's not this one, is it? Is this the Vildor one? Yes. Gosh. I can't believe, by the way, with a minute left and this much cushion, Vildor ends up allowing this. Like, just, what are we doing here? We got quarters. It's a good route. Don't get me wrong, but he just gets toasted. It's a decent throw, too. Like, I would call this a good play by the offense. I feel bad, but I also know that you want your corner to make a bit more of an impact on these kinds of plays, because the safety has to cover him. Like, it's not like the safeties are out of place, per se, but, man, the 49ers just took one look at this Bears defense and went, well, it's probably quarters, and just ISO'd him up against Deebo Samuel. What did the Bears expect to happen? Like, that sucks. That's all I got, is that sucks. But so, there's a play I'm trying to find where the Niners were 3rd and 4. Hang on, I'm just going to look at the game pass. This will be the last one we talk about, because it's the last one we need to talk about, really. But so, gosh. Oh, my word. Have you guys seen this? So, we're looking at the game cast, by the way, and here is halftime's up there. Like, this is 15-16. So, the Niners score and we're going to. Oh, Shanahan's really good, Bryson, but check this out. So, 3rd and 19, they get what they want, right? They get that 80-yard touchdown. Next drive, first down, second down, first down, score. Next drive, first down, second down, score. Next drive, first down, second down, third down, fourth down, field goal. And then the game ends. They forced 1 third down. Two technically. They forced 2 third downs after that screen. That is insane. Like, that is getting taken to task. Man. Let me see. There really is just one more case. I know. But let's see. Because I gotta find it. There it is. Yeah, Ace, it hurt. That hurt a lot. So Bears score. I think they generate a third down right here. Mac matters for sure. It's not that one. so hang on. Oh, it's the play before. Wow, so close and yet so far, am I right? So this one hurt. It literally won case. But so if you want to know the other reason, whenever they want to or whenever the 49ers wanted to get something, so it's 3rd and 8 on this next play. And the Bears put Shelley on, if memory serves, I can't remember if it's Samuel or Ayuk. I can't remember. But we've talked before about how one of the problems is that the Bears were a little declarative in how they ran their coverages. Well, the other problem is that from a personnel perspective, what are you supposed to do when Shelley is all you got? Thank you, Dreads Ayuk. So it's Ayuk. But so you end up with Shelley one-on-one against Ayuk. He's going to run a slant route. And oh my word, can we just take a second to admire snap, slant? Look at all that. Look at all that separation. Look at all that separation. Like, goodness gracious. But yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, the trouble is, Grant, is I agree with you. Like, right now we're basically, like, to be clear, what we're going to end on is the hard part about this game was that once Eddie Jackson left and once the ability for the Bears to hide their queen, like we talked about, was gone, the Bears defense got exposed for having Danny Trevathan and Tashawn Gibson and Tease Tabor and DeAndre Houston Carson, who I even like, but he's in this category, and Kendall Vildor, and I'm missing one. Oh, Alec Ogletree, taking up meaningful snaps. You have 6 guys that are liabilities in coverage, and Jalen Johnson. Like, oh, Duke Shelley, thank you. So 7 in that case. You have a rotation of a ton of guys that aren't very good, and man, did the 49ers make it look like that. They just tore the Bears apart, and they got whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. Like, 1 third down in the second half, 21 points, 1 third down. Like, every time the Bears got one play, the Niners picked it back up with 3. Like, they got schooled. And like Grant said, there's no fun in taking guys who aren't very good and saying, they're not very good. I don't take pride in it either. I more just make it clear that the Bears secondary came into this season a problem. Eddie Jackson somehow, plus Sean Desai, made them not look like a problem. And Eddie Jackson got hurt, and within one half, it all unraveled. Like, it was hard to watch. And the only reason that I make it as clear as I do is because I am really curious to see what Sean Desai does about it on Monday. But I don't know what he can. Like, we will see. Because I don't believe in a lot of these guys. There's not a ton of these guys or what these guys do that I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But, man, like, watching this game back, it was wild seeing the Packers game where Ejax sparkled, the Buccaneers game where Ejax was really the only defender that didn't get destroyed, and then this game where he wasn't there and everybody else got destroyed. This whole year, I've just been warming up to Eddie Jackson, and this game made it worse. Like, it sucks to say we lost one cover guy, and suddenly our defense went from, hey, you never know, it's pretty spiny. It held the Niners to, like, not much in the first half, to just, they could have scored 60 had they been given the time. But, yeah, I mean, that's all to say that in our own Bears fan search for the whys, the defense was bad because they're bad. Like, and, like, their talent wasn't good. And I don't know, maybe they lost their soul when Eddie went down, but that's getting into too much semantics. Either way, y'all, It's been great. It's also been 3.5 hours. So I'm going to head out. You guys are awesome. I'm going to see what I can throw together over the week. Like, I want to see what I can do. Fine case just for you. Let's look for it. When is it? 1820. We'll do it one more time. Here we go. You bet. 100%. I'm going to get sleep, and then I'm going to show back up to work the next day. Yeah. But so, let's see. Defense? People are calling him a bust? Really? Jordan Brown, thank you for subscribing. You're awesome. But so, let's see. Like, I hate the bust calls. They're stupid. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. Because there are people out here that are going to take a look at a 275-yard combined game, and they're going to be like, nah, he's bad. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, nah, that's just, there's nothing you could do about that. Like, I just got to sit around and wait for him to do even better. But we'll get there. Either way, y'all, you're awesome. Hopefully the Bears, honestly, truth be told, I was about to say hopefully the Bears win. I don't care. Like, I hate to say that, but I'll look in you guys in the eyes as I say it. If they do win, if they don't win, it makes no difference to me. I hope it's entertaining. I hope Justin Fields plays well. I hope the offense is good enough that Justin Fields can keep getting quality reps, just like he did this week. But outside of that, like, we're just waiting. Gosh, IMT1. I hope it's soon. The fact that Fields keeps throwing for under 200 yards creeps me out. Like, yes, he ran for 100 yards, which is a feat and a half. But, yeah, beating the Steelers, not my concern. Obviously, I hope they do, but they just, like, the Steelers just played a game where they held the Browns to 10 points. So, we'll see. You know, it would be fun if it was Madden. I would, let me see. Like, if this was Madden, I would take Sherrick McManus. I was thinking about 27. Like, I was like, what is that? But so, yeah, I would take a look at, what's the word? Yeah, we'll just see. I don't know, but I'm gonna head to bed. You guys are awesome. See you soon.